Royal are going to get some aggressive wards down, if nothing else. And looks like OMG doing the same. They're trying to get the blue side watered on the enemy side of the jungle there for Royal.
Yeah, so mirror vision coming out from both teams, but Royal, I don't think they're going to be just happy to just back off at this point.
No, I mean, Royal have consistently stuck around actually in their invades, which is one of the nice things I like about them as a team. We usually see this when they have Annie, but I think they kind of feel like, you know what, these often work out quite well for us as a team that likes to be aggressive. Let's continue this trend, even when we don't have something like that big AoE stun and cool here. You could check the wrong brushes here. I think Ari kind of knows that something's a little fishy. Wants to be careful. Cool's indecisive. He's like, do I walk back here? Do I check? I don't know. I don't think I should. I don't think you should either, Ari, but I can see where Royal are. White's actually going to move in here. Maybe even go for... Oh, is White's going to flash body slam? That would be amazing. I don't know if it's enough, though. I think they've spotted Cool, but they are going to move forward here. Royal looks like they're just going to go for the blue invade. White's going to maybe do some scouting of people coming through the other side of the brush, and we're going to trade blue buffs to start things off here.
Definitely. So the trade without a kill there, and Ari at some points looked like a very dead Fox Lady. But just the one-for-one trade there. Nothing big gained or lost on either side.
No, looks like no smite used on either side either, as both Elise and Yorick will keep their smites for now. So, assuming they go back up towards their red buffs, which they should do, we're going to have basically the same jungle starts here with quick level 3 for the double buff, with the double buffs there as well. Potentially open up some pressure if they want. 2v2 down the bottom here. We're going to start things standard. In fact, all the lanes are going to move out pretty much as you would expect here, just based on the players.
And they are going for a heads-up match with Cho'Gath, and it is godlike on the Jarvan up top, so I got that prediction wrong here. They're going to focus on Lucky having that really strong jungle ganking pressure with Elise, and just leave Jarvan to man-fight it up top with Cho'Gath.
So we'll see what the jungle can get done here. I mean, Yorick already in the enemy jungle actually doing some counter-jungling here. So Loveland is... Oh no, excuse me, that's his own red buff. My mistake. He walked in... Oh, it gets confusing sometimes with colors and stuff, but that is Yorick in his own jungle. It's okay. Okay, Pastry. And at least moving in towards her own as well. Going to clear out some wolves, although maybe spotted a small creep in the blue camp there as well. And other than that, just a pretty passive start here. I mean, Yorick, we've talked about it before. Great jungle invader, great skirmisher, great pusher and counter pusher. Does not quite have any gank pressure, unfortunately. Does decent damage in a gank if you get it off. And Coma down the bottom here can get cast up here. Has to be careful. In fact, forced to flash out there does Uzi. And you can really see just how much Royal love their bottom lanes with Twitch in them. They play so aggressively.
Definitely, and they were paying for it a bit when they were against the Vibe pick, where Twitch is a bit immovable. But
Whoa, that's a great cocoon under Cool, sorry, as White's there. Does get the body slam off, forcing the flash out there from Ari.
You have to think Loveland's going to start playing aggressively. He has to fancy himself, even against Elise. There's just so much available on that jungle.
Here he comes, he's going to go in, but Venomous Bite's going to do damage. Oh my goodness, the Yoricles completely turn it on its head. And Loveland just waiting patiently for that Elise. White's moving up in there as well. Repel will buy enough time there. And now Loveland could be in trouble there. Great cocoon there coming out from Lucky. White's going to follow up there, forcing the flash out from Yorick. But a flash forward there from White will give him the first blood. And beautiful movement there. I mean, you said it, Papa. Yorick, even against the Leafs, was able to really clean house that 1v1. But White's with some great movement. Cool, not quite able to get in there aggressively. And that's a really nice first blood for White's.
It's interesting to see Cool there. I mean, Cool should have a lot more control of his lane with that ranged wave clear, but didn't react whatsoever to that and allowed his jungler to go down there. So, interesting to me. I would have thought he would be pushed to White's turret, but not the case.
I mean, maybe a little scared after that last gank. Didn't have a ward on that side, I believe, so playing a little scared. In fact, could be ganked again here. The Flash Cocoon will come out. The White's over the top, and no flash left this time. Venomous Bite right on top there, and that is a dead Cool. So not only does Cool isn't able to help the jungler, it gets immediately picked off as a result.
Yeah, and now the Whites, for once, actually looking really good in the early game here, Pastry Time. On an aggressive assassin like Gragas, the ability to get any sort of early AP, amazing roam potential from that Gragas. We saw that in game 2.
Yeah, he had a great... the last game we saw against IG there in their game 3, we saw a great bit of landing there. It looks like a grab going to come here onto Tabo. Sign getting quite aggressive. He wants to get the kill. Coma picks it up to, but they will trade supports as Uzi gets the kill there onto Thresh. Now Twitch trying to get himself out of the way, but Loveland is down here, and that is going to be a kill for the jungler as Yorick cleans it one up. So a 2-for-1 trade there for OMG. They'll happily take that here, but as you said, could be some problems starting here already in the mid lane for OMG is up towards the top. Going. Really man-fighting here as Cho'Gath. I mean, you mentioned it before, Jarvan's matchup not too exciting here and not able to really get the 1v1 done against Cho.
Yeah, I imagine that Cho'Gath is going to be able to lane quite happily here. And you got to say the snowball in the mid lane is very important for Whites here. You mentioned the previous time we've seen this matchup, so much has been able to be done for Ari in terms of just aggressively getting a lot of poke down. The Gragas has never been able to have any kill potential, but gone back, already got the Chalice and an Amp Tome well on the way to that Athene's Unholy Grail. White's is going to be feeling confident in this mid lane.
He's got double buffs as well, by the way, after all that pressure. So feeling even better about it here is Coma. Actually, rotating in for a gank on the mid lane, would you believe it here? Support trying to make a difference here in the mid. I mean, Cool will be very thankful if it happens. A little low on mana, Izari. Doesn't quite have level 6 up either. And Whites did just ding 6 there, has his ultimate ready. I mean, Cool kind of knows that the pressure's coming in, but here comes Coma around the side for a gank. Trying to make it happen, he does find the death sentence, moves his way in, flays him back as well, and a great chum there as Whites. Actually body slams to a creep, can't quite find enough room, but he just walks away from that one. Ari, with very little mana to speak of, just not enough damage.
Yeah, and didn't even have to use explosive cast cooldown there. Wouldn't have been that long with the blue buff that he was rocking, but just happily able to waddle away from the fight there is Whites.
And I mean, thankfully, San didn't lose too much there, 1v2 down the bottom lane for a short while, but to have someone else roam towards your lane and Gragas literally walk away from that gank without using really any cooldowns at all, that's not good news for poor Cool. He now finally has the ultimate, but I think is a little short on mana to try and make a play up here against Gragas. And now Uzi moving aggressively one more time here. San will actually pop into the Lantern. There's Coma, gonna find a hook one more time here onto Uzi, but the trades will come out there. Expunge plus good Lance and the help picks. It's just so hard to trade against this lane, Papa Smithy. Now Loveland gonna find Lucky in there as well. Lucky could be in trouble, repels out, but nowhere else to go. He's gonna move actually back towards White to look for the cast, finds it on the Cool, knocks him into the wall for a mini stun, but Lucky is gonna go down there. The Spirit Rush trails will pick up the kill now. Godlike actually in there as well. Finds a good knock up there on the Cool. The Cataclysm over the top as well. Will pick up the kill. So aggressive playing there from Godlike. Moved down from the top lane, by the way, to pick up that kill. And maybe Royal are going to look for an aggressive dragon.
And the damage output from those lane Javans is always surprising to me, Pacechan, because you can take that armor penetration instead of having to get the attack speed for clearing the jungle. A couple of Doran's Blades in the inventory and the EQ combo with an auto attack just mowed down Cool's health.
Godlike, for whatever reason, just hanging out, decides to roam down from top. Try and make something happen. He gets a kill for himself, which, given he's a little behind against this Cho'Gath here from Going, probably pretty happy about that. Now going to return to lane. His tower will have taken a little bit of damage, but he should be okay there as he returns to lane there up against Cho. I mean, Going doesn't have a teleport, actually has Ignite for some added kill potential. There's a lot of kind of hidden kill potential almost on Cho'Gath. You know, you can trade pretty nicely with the Vorpal Spikes and all the burst you can do in amongst your CC with Feast plus Ignite. It's actually pretty good at getting kills, at least in the early stages when you get your ult for the first time. So we'll see what happens there, but no teleport, I think, for Cho is going to make any roaming Jarvan does. Perhaps a little trickier.
And I guess we didn't mention there that Uzi also able to go and steal away the blue buff here. So blue buff denied from Ari, up on Gragas now in the middle lane. It's a nice spot to be in. And White's is getting all these little things that are helping him deal with the difficult counter matchup between Gragas and Ari.
Yeah, right now looks absolutely fine. I mean, Cool to his credit, getting a nice amount of CS there in the mid, but 1-2-0 against 1-0-2. A little different there, and Cool. He's going to try and do what he can here, but Gragas with the blue buff getting levels as well. Going to be able to clear out creeps pretty swiftly here. In fact, Athenes is on the way quite swiftly here for Gragas. He's got the 2 bits there, just needs to complete the recipe itself with Fiendish Codex plus Chalice of Harmony. And he's almost level 9, which of course is the magic number for clearing out the back minions very, very speedily with Gragas, isn't it, Papa?
Absolutely. I mean, the ability to one-shot with just even low AP comes to you at level 9 thanks to the base damage increase on that barrel roll.
Looks like they're going to rotate up towards the top as well. Loveland's here with Going. Going to be a little bit of a tricky dive, but White's fancies himself. Going to do another wraparound Genki with the cast. Godlike, you can see, moving into position as well to try and get the dive done. Actually could maybe hit someone off the tower potentially, but Godlike, I think, gives it up there knowing that they're a little too tanky to maybe take out. And Cool rotating up as well. This time was able to react.
Absolutely. So no kills picked up from that roam there, but Gragas so mobile, even without... He has picked up boots here, but just with that body slam, using that off cooldown with the Chalice mana regen, able to have so much global pressure. And that's what Ari would like to be doing, but given the texture of this and the ganks that have come out early, White's just looking that much more comfortable moving around the map.
And Cool actually has a fast blasting one here. Do you think maybe Ari's going to rush a quick Abyssal Scepter?
I mean, there is an AP damage coming out of the jungler as well here from Elise, so Abyssal Scepter wouldn't be the worst pickup. And given the sheer amount of burst Gragas is able to put out, probably a smart pickup.
Kind of funny to not see, I guess, the standard DFG, which is what we almost always see from Ares.
I mean, DFG requires a couple of spell rotations to get all the damage out, and if you're dead from the explosive cast burst damage, given the snowballing nature of Gragas, it's not as helpful.
That's true. So possibly an adaptation here from Cool, just in terms of, you know, trying to keep the lane, given what's happened already, in a spot where, you know, things are going to be okay when she moves in towards the late game here. White's actually using his ultimate quite aggressively there, wanted to knock Cool back into a body slam that was coming, but didn't quite have the angle for it. Will annoy Ari, actually, possibly push Cool out of lane here. Now Tabe actually going to find Loveland. Lucky going to come through there as well. Has to be careful. The Cocoon will be flashed there. Is Loveland even going to ride the Dark Passage out as well, potentially? But the Dragon is now being taken out for Royal. There's no wards actually here for Royal, unfortunately. Haven't been able to put down the pink ward. The Vision's still in favor here for OMG. In fact, Lovely maybe going to find himself a steal. Cool going to go in there with the Spirit Rush. The Omen of Death actually popped there as Godlike picks up the Dragon. And Cool forced to get out there with Spirit Rush as Cataclysm does come down. And Loveland, I believe, dead just with his Omen ticking away here. The bottom lane for OMG also rotating up, but Royal, plenty of presence in time there. And yes, that is a kill there for Yorick. So Dragon and the 1 kill up for Royal.
Yeah, pick up that nice little global goal to cement their early advantage here. 5-3 in kills here. A couple of gold, 1,000 gold up in the lead, but nothing massive for Royal so far.
And I guess the big difference there is 4v5 with Go going a little late to the party there. Again, when Jarvan's kind of moving out of his lane, I don't really know what's happening actually. I haven't seen too much of the top lane, but it looked like Cho was pushing in there as Twitch just casually gets a kill there onto Akoma down the bottom. I mean, that's also bad news for an OMG fans, because when Uzi starts getting kills in lane just 2v2, then I guess Elise is here, so maybe that contributed. We didn't quite get to see the gank, unfortunately. But when that starts happening, problems usually arise for the team that Uzi is against.
And going here, not able to push down the turret despite all the roaming from Godlike's interesting me, just because, I mean, Cho'Gath, one of the reasons why he's always a safe 1v2 is he has so much ranged wave clear. I would have thought that he would be able to control these waves, but Godlike ostensibly is pushing out this lane and ganking with fair impunity here. 2-0-0 and very comparable CS, so just winning all ends up in the top lane.
I mean, next time we pop up towards the top, we're going to have a look at how much damage the blue tower has taken. But the first tower of the game actually goes over to Royal to take out the bottom tower after their nice gank from the bottom. And look at that tower, Papa Smithy. It's still about 60% health. Going's really not been able to get much of anything going, despite having still a small CS lead.
Yeah, and we can't really ascribe to how that's happened. We don't know if Lucky's been helping him out there or anything like that, just because we haven't had the camera up top lane. All the action's been in other parts of the map.
For whatever reason, Going not quite able to make it happen. Godlike leaving one more time here, maybe going for another gank. Actually looks like he's back to shopping here, and the rotation will happen for Royal here. Not just shopping trip for Java, they're actually going to do a full-on lane swap here and try and go for the fast push.
Royal love getting those turrets down, pastry time. What better time than after they got bot turret?
Going actually maybe going to eat him here. A great wild growth there from Tabe coming out now. The Cataclysm is going to come out. Trapko going in there as well. The damage moving in there, and Cho'Gath not quite sure what to do. Cannot get away. Going to give Uzi a kill there as Spray and Pray gets turned on. I think Feast may have been countered quite nicely there by the wild growth from Tabe. Didn't quite catch the timing, but for whatever reason, Cho used it. Jarvan didn't die, and that was a very clean kill. 3v1. Maybe even the top turret's going to go down now as well.
Yeah, the burst of health just allowed him to easily just use Cataclysm, no risk of dying to follow up damage. Cho'Gath has very long cooldowns in that situation. And they pick up a second turret, and they're looking good here, Royal. They need to win this game to arrest the disadvantage of coming through the losers bracket, but setting themselves up for a victory at least.
Looking really nice here, 7-3 so far, 2-0 up in turrets as well. A few thousand gold, about 5k actually up ahead already for Royal, which is very impressive indeed. Godlike down the bottom, running the 1v2. Trying to do as best he can. So White's there in the mid earlier, so just throwing out his ultimate just to clear out the creep over there with a couple of members of OMG pushing in. And OMG, we've said it before, the mid turret tends to be their baby. They love to get it down when they can, but it's Royal actually who are looking to try and take out the first mid turret of this game. And the poke from Gragas is actually pretty awesome. I mean, he doesn't have blue buff right now, so he can't spam it out with impunity, but does quite a bit of damage already with the Athenes finished nice and early here for Whites as well. So OMG going to have to be careful under their turret.
This is the 7th game we've seen from Royal today, Page Time. And one thing you can see here is that with that pickup of the jungle Yorick, less jungle pressure able to be applied to mid lane. White isn't being held down by the likes of Elise or Jarvan, and is actually winning his lane, and that's where Royal's looking strong.
Tangled up there as well. He gets obliterated by Whites as the damage comes in. Repel dodges the silence, but Lucky still taking a little bit too much damage. Flashes there, but the Ignite from Coma will actually pick him off there. And Royal, I think, as a result, will be forced to disengage here. His son's chasing down Godlike as well. He's a little trapped in the wrong place here as Coma just flays him back into the bush. Plenty of damage there done for Sun. He's going to ride the lantern after getting the kill as well. And that's 2 kills there for OMG. Maybe going to look to push down the mid turret they'd love to have here.
Definitely, but I mean, the Yorick jungle doesn't have the kill potential on White's here, and White's left his own devices doing very well.
It's true. I mean, Elise is night and day in terms of jungle pressure against the Yorick here, as Uzi actually pops his Blade of the Ruin King, I believe, right out there, as Going actually gets out on the Dark Passage. Knock up there from Cool as he's trying to go aggressively in onto Tabik. Doesn't quite get the Orb of Deception. Uzi still going in with the Spray and Pray ticking off, but can't quite assassinate. Going in a Charm just missing there into Twitch as well. Cool really trying to make some plays happen. Coma moving in aggressively as well. I mean, OMG kind of moved in for the turret. Royal looked to go in there, try and pick up a couple of kills, but really nicely played there under the turret from OMG. Looks like the White's wave clear will be able to keep him okay so far in Gragas, but OMG, they're trying stuff here. They're certainly not out of this game. They're really maneuvering well and playing well as a team. And that's honestly what's gotten them so far, not just in this qualifier, but all throughout the LPL.
Crucially, there, Royal keep their turret up. They're going to actually go on to the OMG turret now. The 3-0 turret trace, the global advantage, it's going to come right now.
And the Trinity Force is on the way for Ezreal, but it's not quite finished up. Uzi already with his Blade of the Ruin King on Twitch. There's the third turret being felled there as Godlike gets himself out of harm's way with an EQ combo. Loveland trying to chase him down, but I guess this is the thing, Papa, when you don't go for the fast push on Yorick, when you're not, actively fighting the enemy jungler, the pressure is just very, very different here between Yorick and Elise, and it should be. I mean, Elise's jungle pressure is utterly fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, Yorick's the best for skirmishing, for invading, and for taking turrets, and basically all sorts of neutral objectives, but they've been on the back foot so far of OMG. They haven't been able to make much happen. They've been very reactionary, and they haven't got the purchase out of that jungle Yorick pick in the early game, and they're suffering for it. I mean, 3 global objectives down. We always say that taking all those outer turrets, it allows the supports especially to pick up an Oracles with that extra gold they have, roam in there, get the aggressive wards down, and make it so that OMG have to contest their own buffs, let alone the neutrals like Dragon and Baron.
Yeah, I mean, good going here on Tro, just going to keep farming. We had a Rod of Aiders a few minutes ago, so it's going to be doing a nice mix of tankiness and damage there with the item. Curious to see what Cho builds next. I have a funny feeling Ninja Tabi maybe the finish there with the cloth armor he's currently got in his inventory. And Jarvan, he's going to take a little bit of page out of the Renekton's we've been seeing. Pretty aggressive from Godlike. He actually has a Tiamat.
Tiamat Jarvan, I mean, Ravenous Hydra Jarvan, right when that item was released from the jungle was seen as a very popular thing just because the amount of burst damage you put out between EQ combo, your ultimate, and the Ravenous Hydra proc is immense. And damage Jarvan, it feels good in the early game. It's only if you're stuck there. If they lose the next couple of team fights and he just has a Tiamat and can't afford to get tanky, that's when Tiamat Jarvan starts to fall off. But early game especially, the burst damage is disgusting.
I mean, cutely, he does have the option of also just staying and farming with the cleave as well if he's trying to maybe keep Cho'Gath pushed at about an equal part in the lane. So be interesting to see what he goes for there, but absolutely aggression here from Godlike coming out. And I don't blame Royal. They look good when they're ahead. They look good when they're aggressive, and they've certainly been so in this game up against OMG, who look a little lost almost. Oh my goodness, the White's burst damage comes through. Not even finished the Rabadons yet, but Cool going to dive onto him now as well. Looks like White's, I think, going to get tangled up. He's going to try and finish up the kill on Cool before he gets done. He does actually get it. He's still alive just for a little longer, but not to be had there as the Ghost of Ari manages to pick him up there for revenge. I mean, White's, to his credit, a lot of burst damage already without the Rabadons, as I said, and does get the trade kill there in a 1v4, I believe that was.
Absolutely, to get a trade kill when his team wasn't in any way going to be able to help him there. A sign that Gragas is starting to snowball into his mid-game beast mode stage.
Got his blasting wind up now, so Rabadon's Deathcap is well and truly on the way. Probably going to be up around the 21 minute mark. Uzi, I guess, looking at people who like to snowball. He's got a Phantom Dancer on the way here with Zeal plus Dagger. Phage. We've almost got Trinity Force actually up for Ezreal. He's got a Vamp Scepter there in his inventory just for a little bit of help in the lane, but he's got Phage plus Sheen up now as well. I mean, Blade of the Ruin King Twitch, whenever it's good, it seems to go really well for Uzi, and he's got it nice and early in this one as well. Can't quite tell the goal difference specifically between the two carries, but it's about 20 CS up for Twitch and a 3-1-1 versus 1-0-3.
The Ravenous Hydra is coming out from Jarvan, so expect some crazy burst in the next fight.
I mean, Cho'Gath here, he's maybe not going to be able to stand up against this Jarvan. I mean, Jarvan's just going to keep life-stealing away, keep cleaving away the creeps. Royal down the bottom, going to continue to push, actually. Maybe try and force a 1-4 split or something like it. White's actually in the mid right now, so 1-1-3. Potentially the split as well. I mean, if you have Gragas in the mid, he's fairly mobile, as you noted, with that body slam. He can move freely between with Lucky on the Elise there and just maybe pick people off through the jungle. It's a really good piece of control they actually have for Royal with the Gragas and the Elise kind of tag team threatening anybody that moves between the lanes.
Definitely, just so much wave clear coming out now. Jarvan's going to instant clear waves with the EQ into the Ravenous Hydra puck. Obviously, Gragas with this much AP is easily clearing waves himself. And Twitch is no slouch either. The Venom cask into the Expunge quickly pushes down waves. So they're very happy to pressure all 3 lanes here, pastry time. And all OMG can do is kind of try and hope to hold some turrets.
Yeah, rotated White's out briefly there, so he was kind of moving between mid and bot here. Lucky throwing down a pink ward, which is very smart. You absolutely need to make sure you have exclusive vision of the area you need to travel between here, because you do not want to get picked off if you can help it. OMG trying to defend where they can here. Cool going to rotate down the bottom with Loveland Trying to counter push it up. Uzi actually used his ultimate there. Almost got charmed up as well. The wire growth actually popped by Tabe, and Cool going to come back in. That could be bad news, but Lucky dives in on towards Cool. The damage going to come in. White then moves in for the barrel roll and picks it up. And an explosive cast him out of the way as well. I mean, Cool is going to chase here while an Omen here for Yorick. In fact, forces the flash out of Lucky as a result. So, I mean, killing the Ari once, letting her come back and still doing full damage with all those spells is quite nice, but no cigar there picked up from Cool as he's unable to convert any more kills, and a 1-for-0 trade there once more for Royal, with Godlike still pushing in the top lane and Royal still pushing towards the bottom as well.
Yeah, well, he's got 5 points in that flag, no doubt. By now, Page Jams are pushing very quickly with all that AD picked up. Cho'Gath in the middle, not getting very much done at all. I thought maybe they were going to look to trade their inner turret for the mid turret, because OMG always been a team focused on getting an early mid turret, but in general, it looks like it's just going to be a free global objective trade for Royal.
And for OMG, the most objective-focused team in the LPL, that's not something we normally see here. 4-0 in turrets up already for OMG, 10-6 in kills as well. And that gold lead's getting pretty big pretty quick. It's about 8,000 gold between these two teams already.
Yeah, and look, OMG, they can afford to lose one game, but Royal are definitely playing OMG-like League of Legends. They're playing objective-focused League of Legends. They're pushing every turret, and OMG don't seem to have much of an answer right here.
That was pretty cute from Go-Going, by the way. The site ward spotted Twitch, and Go-Going managed to lead Eruption to actually hit him. So I think Uzi felt a little scared there once he was hit while invisible. But that was just some really nice timing there from Go-Going with the Cho'Gath Eruption. I mean, unfortunately, Tabe just walks in with the Oracles, clears out the ward that they know is there, and continue to get vision around this map here. The poke from Gragas as well. We don't often talk about Gragas' poke, but especially in this situation where they're ahead, it's really, really painful. I mean, he's got Rabadons, can probably have blue buff up soon again. If they really want to siege, they can, and they're showing that they're happy to just kind of split between the lanes here and pressure as many of the towers as they can.
And with that explosive cast cooldown nerf, you can't just use it quite as liberally as before, but they're happy to use that cooldown to get any semblance of a turret advantage here. I mean, the global objectives, they're coming thick and fast for Royal here. And again, I have to wonder why they've been so focused on banning the jungle Yorick here, just because that lessened pressure on Whites in the mid lane that, a champion compared to a champion like Lee Sin or Elise, Whites has really thrived this game against OMG.
Godlike still doing work up the top, by the way. He's got a Spectral Cow now up for himself as well, so probably going to build in towards a Spirit Visage. Going to make the Ravenous Hydra lifesteal pretty neat as well, and of course the additional attack lifesteal he gets anyway from that item. So for a reasonable amount of sustain coming out there with reasonably minimal cost, going to make him nice and tanky, but a reasonable little bit of money there. I mean, Godlike, he's just outsplit pushed his Cho'Gath, which not something we thought we were going to say, but Godlike's done a really, really good job up against Go-Going, and we may have to revisit our thoughts on that matchup, at least between these two teams.
Yeah, I mean, Go-Going's kind of really had the run of the game. He hasn't been many ganks, hasn't been forced to do very much. In fact, Godlike's been the one roaming around, picking up team fight and just clean kills elsewhere. And Go-Going, he's got a nice amount of CS, but just not making much map pressure happen.
Yeah, and the lane Jarvan here actually looks like a stroke of genius. Royals Uzi 1v1 cool down the bottom lane, just spray and pray popped, and all the damage coming onto her head. Poor little Ari gets picked off very, very swiftly there, and we've said it time and time again. I think one of the reasons Uzi loves this Twitch is that he gets to do stuff like that. Just walk into a lane ambush, Blade of the Ruin King, and then 1v1 people just to start snowballing as an AD.
And the little thing that you can see that Royal have recognized here is that their team fight comp compared to OMG maybe a little bit weaker. Cho'Gath, Yorick, Ari, all fantastic team fighters. They're not really very interested in team fighting at all here. I mean, Jarvan will definitely have a tanky item or two up before they actually transition to team fight. They're just happy to push all the global objectives here, and I believe 7 turrets down now for Royal.
Yep, 7-0. I think 10,000 gold and counting now for Royal already in the lead. That's looking so, so strong here. Godlike going to go back and spend probably a big, big stack of cash here, as he's been up the top lane, pretty much just farming what's more or less an empty lane. Not quite actually empty, but effectively empty here. Spirit Visage picked up, going to sell a couple items. And looks like a Chain Vest actually up for Jarvan there as well, as Royal going to pick themselves up yet more global objectives by taking out the Dragon.
So we just have to kind of return to our thoughts on the jungle Yorick and its strength. And it's almost always that Yorick-Renekton combination we see, which the thing you can say about that is in a 1v1 situation for Renekton, he's usually the one at the enemy turret. He's able to clear waves from very, very early with his AoE abilities, push waves down. That allows Yorick to walk into the enemy jungle, use his spells and his passive to win early trades and just keep the enemy jungler down. But that hasn't happened this game. The Cho'Gath Yorick synergy doesn't just hold a candle to that Renekton Yorick synergy. And Loveland's just been fairly, he hasn't been able to contest any objectives. He hasn't been able to push any turrets because they've just been playing reactionary League of Legends to Royal.
And I think if OMG do want to doing a go for the Yorick again, they may want to consider banning the champion they've banned a lot of already in this qualifier, and that's Elise, because as you noted, the pressure difference between those two junglers is immense, and there's a reason OMG continually banned Elise against almost every team, whereas the team he's going to break out. In fact, Godlike going to fancy himself back in as he already Cataclysm and Flash kind of out of the way, but now getting chased down by Cool. Maybe regrets it as the Wild Growth pops up there. It's not the big cast there, picks up Cool, and there's the EQ combo back in there for Royal, and now Uzi going to show up as well, going to do so much damage just picking off people where he can, and it's a bit of a mess here, but Royal look absolutely on top of this. 3 clean kills already. San coming in there as well, going to be picked up as a ghost, and that's going to completely ace as Going goes down here. White's likely going to pick up that last kill, and does with the body slam, and Royal decisive, clean sweep there in that last team fight. Completely ace OMG for nothing else.
I think that's going to be the end of the game, Page Time. That looks like the surrender coming out here. It's going to be a long series. It is a best of 5. They did come in with 1 win advantage, but it's been erased here by Royal. They played fantastically well, actually exploiting that Yorick pick that's brought so much joy for OMG. And suddenly, this is a real series right here, tied up at 1-1.
We have an actual best of 3 to play now. Is how it works out, which is, yeah, that's something we thought we were going to see. And if you guys just caught Royal on your screens, by the way, after game 2, I believe, against OMG, they were furious. You could see Tabe and White talking to each other. I think it was them. And they just looked so angry. After that, Tabe and Whites were joking around, laughing there. You can see just a big marked change in how they feel here. And OMG, for the first time, almost everyone who's seen them on camera, a little dejected there, sitting in front of their computers. I mean, again, they're both through to Worlds. They can be happy for that, but still really, really important to make it through to the quarterfinals here. And, of course, being effectively the Chinese national champion for League of Legends would be a big thing here as well. So we'll be back. It's 1 apiece now as we'll pick up the first game here in our series, our awaited best of 5 series. The grand finals of the Season 3 Championship Regional Finals for China. We'll be right back. And welcome back, everybody, to the grand finals here for the Season 3 Regional Championships for China. My name is Pastry Time. I'm joined here by Papa Smithy and Papa. One apiece now as Royal take the first game here against OMG.
It's just such an important win for them as well, Pastry Time, just to get themselves back into the series after two heartbreaking losses to OMG earlier in the day. Royal now feel like they're in a real contention to win, and as you put it out, it's a true best of three now to decide who is the best team in China.
Yeah, and not only that, but who gets to go straight through to the quarterfinals for the Season 3 World Championships as well. Remember, both teams have already qualified for that event here. They'll be very happy with that result, but Royal here could have an even better berth, an even better chance in the tournament if they are able to take out the tournament favourites here in OMG. And Royal, after those losses, I mean, they had 3 in a row, 2 to OMG and then 1 to IG before rallying back in that best of 3 in the loser bracket final to actually be here in the first place for the grand finals. Royal looking really hot right now, I have to say. And OMG, the Yorick, the trusty Yorick, didn't quite seem to go the way they planned. And I don't think it was anything Royal necessarily did so much as just the way they played. And as you pointed out as well, Papa, the aggression from Elise and that pressure that she can provide from the jungle.
And White's has just been cramped for style so much in the mid lane. Whenever he's picked one of those assassins, been camped by strong junglers like Elise and Jarvan and other junglers with so much pressure that just forced him to stay in lane, be reactionary, and just not have the same impact on lane. So even though Uzi's done consistently well across all the games between OMG and Royal, I mean, White's has really been preyed upon. It didn't happen last game. The Yorick that had been previously banned was picked up, but they didn't get purchased for that pick. So I'd be surprised if we don't see something a little bit different here. Maybe the return of that Loveland Lee Sin for a bit more of that ganking pressure.
Quite possibly, but Royal here ready to go into the next game. OMG need to stay focused here. Remember, they came from the upper bracket. They had one game where they started up here. They would love to just have taken that last game and potentially be in a position to just win the grand finals straight out 3-0. Instead, they're going to have to fight, as we said, a real best of 3 here between these two teams. And here we are kicking into Champ Select. OMG on the left for this game, Royal on the right. We'll see what OMG want to look for in the draft here, because, again, there's going to be a long series now between these two teams. They would have played so many games against each other today by the end of it. Shen, the first man here from OMG, Zed, the follow-up there for Royal. It seems like these two teams are going to know a lot about each other by the final game they play.
Absolutely, and just a little thing like being on the blue side for OMG, it'll be interesting to see what the contested pick or ban that comes through will be here. Will it be someone like a Renekton, or maybe the Elise jungle that Lucky got so much success out of the previous game? Guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, OMG have banned Tabe's Annie, seem to leave Whites on that Fizz every now and then. I mean, they actually gave them a lot of their champions in the last few games they played. Gragas actually banned out here from OMG, deciding that's what they want to go for instead. Cool once more getting targeted as that Orianna gets banned out against him. OMG have to decide. Basically, their choices may be ban Annie or ban Elise, although they can leave Elise open and potentially pick her. It'd be interesting to see if Royal actually left her open if that was the case. But OMG have pretty consistently banned Annie in this spot. We'll see if they want to go for that one more time. And we'll find out in just a second here as OMG complete their last ban. And it's Renekton, a champion that they've got a lot of success out of. Godlike as well from Royal's got a lot of success out of. They're going to take that one out here. And I think Royal have a real decision to make for their last ban. And Ari, interesting enough, is actually the pick here.
Yeah, they look like they want to open up multiple strong picks for themselves here. It was one of those situations where there were strong contested picks available. They didn't want just one available for OMG to steal away. They were willing to leave a couple available here. I mean, unfortunately, OMG does take away that Elise, which does provide that ganking pressure onto whatever champion Whites ends up with, but Annie and Jarvan, I believe, are the champions that Royal are mulling over.
Seems like that's what they're going to go for. At least Sin actually flipped back here. Lucky, he knows he wants a pressure jungle. He's going to go for Jarvan. He's played a lot of Jarvan already in this tournament. And looks like Annie is the pick up here as well. So Tabe going to get his support, Annie. And Jarvan going to be picked up here again for Lucky. I mean, I think one or the other, Lucky was going to play a high-pressure jungle and try and out-gank this Elise potentially, but OMG, we've seen it, they've respected Elise so much, and they've banned it so often as well. I think very happy to first pick it up here, and Caitlyn actually might be the picker for AD carry. It is going to be, looks like Thresh is going to be the support to go with her.
Yeah, with all AD carries available, locking in that Caitlyn suggests to me there's a reason behind that big. Whether that's they want to set up a push comp here, which of course Caitlyn, if she rushes that Bloodthirster, so much turret damage available there. But Caitlyn is an interesting one to blind pick for AD carry. Caitlyn Thresh, though, a very intimidating lane.
Yeah, even, if you're looking for a push, Thresh with the range auto attack, decent. in those 2v1 lanes where you're trying to potentially push down a turret quickly, and Uzi decided that he trusts in his Twitch, and that's what he's going to go for. And White's returning to Fizz here, not even last picking it this time around. Royal did have the option of potentially counter-picking the mid lane matchup there for Whites and maneuvering whatever champion he wanted, but he's comfortable, it seems like. You know, he's had a couple of games he didn't do too well on Fizz, kind of shied away from it, played some spectacular games since then, and he's going to be back on the Fizz train, it seems like.
And with these lock-ins, Pastry Time, OMG have an answer to the Fizz, that is for sure.
Looks like Mundo is going to come through potentially, and one last pick for OMG as well still to come out. Be curious to see what they want to go for here. Have Vi open? Ezreal is actually going to be the pick. Yep, Ezreal Mundo is their last few picks. And wait, hang on a second. That's a mid-reel.
Yeah, we're going to see a mid Ezreal, I mean, maybe even a 2v1 mid, and then a side lane Ezreal, but they're going for an 80 carry against the Fizz, you have to think here. Although he has that assassination potential on any champion with low base stats, he's going to be whittled down in health consistently with those auto attacks, and he's going to really struggle to have a foothold in the mid lane.
I like this pick for Lucky, though. Aatrox, it seems like, going to come out. I mean, Royal can run that in the top lane as well, but we already saw Godlike's Jarvan looked pretty good in the lane when he ran it. Royal going to have some options here. It looks like it is going to be J4 for Godlike, though, and Aatrox up there for Lucky. But, I mean, OMG, we talked about how, you know, they are the objective team when it comes to Chinese League of Legends. This is super fast push potentially with Ezreal Caitlyn. I mean, double AD carry. If it only does one thing well, it's definitely push down turrets.
It's the sort of comp that is really powerful potentially in the mid game where you just have so much pushing potential and damage potential. But in the late game, not having that extra tank or just opening yourselves up for the enemy to get those thorn mails and have that single damage type does start to hurt you. Now, Mundo does do that magic damage. Elise does nice magic damage from the jungle, but it never feels like double AD ever hits their stride in the late game. It's always usually in the mid game where they get the most purchase out of that pick.
I keep swapping between jungle and mid here as well with the Ezreal and Elise. I have to imagine that it's going to be Elise in the jungle, but, you know, jungle Ezreal once upon a time was a thing. I guess we'll have to wait until we get into the game to just make sure that that is what's going on, but I imagine it'll be mid-real. I have to ask you, Papa, which build do you think Ezreal is going to be going for here? Because they already have a Caitlyn. Do they need Trinity Force Ezreal?
It's an interesting question. We haven't seen double AD with the new Trinity Force changes. I mean, I would have snapped to say Blue Ezreal, but I mean, Blue Ezreal is almost a thing of the past with just how strong Trinity Force is. I'm going to just be a viewer here and be reactionary to see what Cool decides to do from the mid lane.
I have to say, I like the fact that they've got Mundo. If you're going to have essentially one tank in the team, although Elise here will be reasonably tanky, you have to imagine here as well. And it is going to be Loveland in the jungle with that Elise, which thankfully is what's going to happen. It would have been a little too crazy to see that mixed up here. You know, if you're going to have essentially one tank, Mundo's a pretty good guy to be your one tank.
And he's able to split push so well with that teleport as well has been completed here. I mean, Ignite is taken on Godlike just to have any semblance of kill potential on Mundo, but Mundo can clear waves pretty fast with the Burning Agony, and they can show up in any team fight with that teleport.
So OMG going to show a bit of a different strategy here. I mean, Tabe moving out towards the mid lane there. Let's see if anybody's moving through between these lanes. Going to go back as well. Just throws out his ward. The rest of Royal actually hanging out towards the left-hand side of the map. I think Tabe may have spotted them off here, but OMG looking aggressive here at level 1, just trying to get some wards down. And maybe if they move Tabe around the back here, they could potentially pincer OMG in, but going to have to be careful here for this one. In fact, Royal almost seem like they're setting up for a late invade here by hanging out in that bush.
A late re-invade, given that it would be invading their own side of the jungle.
I mean, they could invade the blue, but you're right. We already saw this once from Royal with the support Annie as well, re-invading their own red buff on the other side of the map, but it worked an absolute treat against OMG the first time, and maybe they can turn the same trick twice here. I mean, Royal, they're not moving yet. We're going to know pretty soon, in about 10 to 15 seconds, what they want to be doing. A nice ward there from OMG as well, you could see. Moved around there. In fact, OMG going to be quite tricky here. Even move back towards their own blue now.
And 5-man invading here, Pastry Time, sparing no expense whatsoever. No teleports available, so someone is going to be significantly far down in experience by the time they get to lane.
Yeah, and here they come, Royal. Looking to make some fights happen here. Koeman's got to be careful. They are going to spot the movement here, but Tabe, I mean, I think he almost would have loved to throw down the ward there. Maybe just blind flash, disintegrate, and AoE stun them if he could. But they are going to steal away the blue buff now instead. And that is going to potentially disrupt the jungle here early on for OMG. I mean, Cool's looking for a steal here in Ezreal, but I don't think he's going to find it. And Lucky is going to smite it away anyway. In fact, Ezreal maybe got to be a little careful here. He's going to run into Tabe, going to get himself stunned up properly. There he goes, the damage in as White's looking for, moving forward as well. The Ignite coming in there as White's really wants to get this kill. The damage moving in, but a great Dark Passage there from Coma as Aatrox still moving in. The barrier forced to pop for Cool as well. They're actually still going for this. A level 1 tower dive essentially. One more auto attack, and Tabe's going to take so much damage. A slight misdive there on the Annie, and unfortunately Ezreal's the one to pick up first blood.
And for all that pressure Annie can put down, she does not have the base stats to back it up. Level 1 turret dives never go well. And unfortunately, Ezreal ends all of that with first blood.
Loveland picks up the enemy blue buff there as well. Walks away with that. And now Cool going to return to the mid lane with a second Doran's Blade. And whatever matchup he ends up in. I mean, Royal, I think, already looking to rotate potentially around to one of the other lanes here. Maybe not Uzi, just think putting a ward down potentially. He's moving down towards the bottom lane for something, but he's waddling back towards mid now on this Twitch. Going to collect some more CS where he can. Mundo down the bottom here, up against Whites actually. I guess that's the matchup that Royal want. They're going to put Fizz up against Dr. Mundo.
You know, Fizz in off lanes is something that we've seen very frequently come out from Whites here. He's very comfortable against those tanky champions in off lanes. But you look here, he's actually quite a long way down in terms of levels here. Dr. Mundo has been down bottom this whole time, wasn't at any of the contests there. They picked up a buff steal, but gave away first blood, and now they have a situation where White's is level 1. I believe Mundo's level 3, might even be level 4 at this point.
Level 3 right now. I didn't quite catch how far through that level he is, though. And OMG here towards the top lane. 2v1ing up against this Jarvan. Going to try and make Godlife's time up here a little bit tricky if they can. And again, get the fast push sorted if they can. I mean, I like, again, the fact that Royal are running Annie on support here as Godlike actually goes in, takes a little bit too much damage. A headshot there, doing a big chunk of damage there to J4's son. Really just pressuring with his Caitlyn as hard as he can. That's Godlike forced to back up from towards the top lane. Lucky's in here now, going to try and defend off the turret as best he can. But I mean, they're going to keep Ezreal down a little bit in the mid Royal. It's just a matter of, I think Cool's probably fine here. Just use his Mystic Shot from long range and farm as safely as he can.
White's in bottom lane, despite the level discrepancy, doing okay. About 7-8 CS behind Dr. Mundo here, but he does have that healing debuff. So in later trades, you can see how he might be able to pick up a kill, especially before Dr. Mundo hits 11 or 16 and his ultimate regen really starts to get out of hand. So it's interesting to see how they've lined up here. Someone has to miss out for Royal that might be Godlike.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what happens when Royal decides to move the lanes around. It feels like Godlike's the one that kind of ends up in the poor farming position where it's like, okay, we'll sacrifice a bit of him. We saw it in the Nasus game, actually, earlier today. I believe in the earlier OMG vs Royal series where Godlike, he just got so far behind. In fact, it looks like Q going to come in a good repel there, actually, from Loveland. Going to move himself out there. Dark Passages away as well as the Aatrox damage is absolutely massive early on. I mean, Sun almost got the tower down towards the top. And they've had 3 people up towards the top have OMG trying to take that turret out as quickly as possible here. Not quite got it done yet. Lucky actually choosing to defend 2v3 instead of maybe look to push somewhere else in the mid lane.
And the one thing you can say is that Ezreal in the mid lane, it's going to be very hard to deny him any CS in a 2v1 situation. He doesn't have a lot of AoE wave clear. He can last hit very happily, but until he hits level 6, doesn't have that AoE wave clear. So pressure on the mid turret will get some health down, but still very difficult to push down an 80 carries turret.
And again, Royal tend to do this 2v1 situation in mid, or even just 2v2, more to have strategic control over the early stages of the map and to guarantee Uzi farmers, or they very rarely go super crazy with the push in the mid lane. They just prefer to have people in there, with presence.
Especially Tabe on that on that support Annie, with the ability to move around, roam in with the jungler, and have the AoE CC.
Down the bottom, White, I think, is actually going to get himself killed, and no mana there for playful tricks to going on Dr. Mundo. 1v1's Fizz.
Yeah, and this is a different thing, Base Changles. We saw Dr. Mundo split a lane with Renekton, now potentially winning a lane against Fizz.
I mean, Fizz, you mentioned it already, potentially, as he gets items up, he's able to, pretty easily kill Dr. Mundo, potentially, with the Sea Stone Trident. Effective healing debuff there, the Ignite style passive that reduces healing and regeneration. But, if Going is able to just get it going, I suppose, then could be problems here for White. And we've seen how badly he needs to get ahead when he wants to play. He's coming back now with double Doran's ring, so maybe he can get it done. But if he doesn't make it happen soon, he's already pretty far behind in CS and hurting a little for levels because of the early exchanges there. Spectral Cowl finished up for Mundo. I think Going maybe starting to have a little bit too much fun here in the bottom lane.
You can say that he can quite happily pick up that Spirit Visage Rush.
Good grab as well. The Godlike Coma moving in there. That is going to be a cool fact. Going picks it up. He just casually teleports up towards the top lane now looking for a tower. I feel Lucky going to get poked back and forth here. So I'm going to take out this turret, and Lucky absolutely nowhere to run. Tries to Q out of the way. Flashes as well. And the cleavers are not quite in range from Mundo. Very clever for Aatrox to move, kind of use his escapes from the creep waves there so he couldn't get cleavered.
It would have been very risky to dive the Aatrox with that revive passive, but they were considering it.
I mean, they had the tower down as well that was kind of moving in there. Mundo was trying to run defense and actually move him out. The Blood Orb now popped as Loveland rotates in, though. I think they're going to be able to clean up this kill now. And poor Aatrox, he's dead. Goodbye as San picks up that kill.
OMG, they're turning Royal this game on its face based time. This is very much what we saw last time around with the roles reversed, but the blue side aggression is really paying off for both teams.
Yeah, and a nice use of teleport there for Go going as well. Now a four-man push going to be coming out, and one thing we did say about this comp that is still very, very true, if they're able to start pushing, they usually push very, very hard. I mean, Ezreal's not there, unfortunately. He's currently 1v1 down the bottom against Fizz. They're actually leaving the two, Uzi all by his lonesome, actually, in the mid lane, who really, at this point, Twitch going to have a little bit of trouble really getting stuff done. As Cool, he's going to try 1v1 Whites, who's going in for the tower. The Arcane Shift's out of the way. The Playful Trickster moves in, and Whites are able to get him down with plenty of dot damage to spare. I mean, Ezreal, if he'd maybe flash back towards his turret, he could have tried to bait Whites in, but very hard to get away from a Fizz when he can just drop tower aggro instantly.
Yeah, flashing during the playful as well so that he could drop with the second bit of playful there, get the slowdown. Didn't even have the ult available there, but didn't matter. Nice kill coming out for Whites.
Uzi just poking in an instant repel, actually, from Loveland as he wants to go off towards a creep and go back towards the jungle here. Whites gets a little something there by picking up a kill, which will be nice given that he was having a bit of trouble up against Dr. Mundo, who went roaming up towards the top lane to try and help OMG with their push. Blue F actually going to get picked up here as well. A steal, actually, goes to Lucky as he picks up Blue for a second time in a row this game for Royal. And you know, this game, 4-1 currently up for OMG, 1 tower to 0. A small lead here for OMG, but it is just that, quite a small lead.
We just haven't felt the double AD pressure on turrets or objectives just yet here. 1 up in turrets, but you have to think the Dragon or something similar to that's coming soon.
I think Ezreal answered our question, by the way. With the Tear of the Goddess there in Cool's inventory, I believe it is going to be Blue Ezreal.
So the control coming out from the mid champion, much like you would with a lot of AP mid picks, but no Trinity Force, I guess, due for Cool.
I mean, he could. Oh, no, he can't, because he could build it, but the Spellblade passives don't play nicey nice with each other. I mean, if he really wanted to, I guess he can get a Frozen Mallet, but you're not really getting the purchase out of the item, I suppose. So probably not going to be the case here. Nice call on Dragon there, Papa, as OMG very, very cleanly take that one away. And now San down the bottom lane. White's forced to back off there. Koma rotating down there as well. So Loveland returns to his jungle, Cool to his mid lane. Godlike up in the top lane. A little bit of space now as Dr. Mundo is going to return himself up there. And find himself a different opponent this time around. Going to be up against Jarvan instead of the Fizz, which he was happily landing against before. Lucky off to the side as well. Looking to maybe dive into Cooler, but you have to be careful. Ezreal very, very slippery with that Arcane Shift and the True Shot Barrage. Able to clear out the way, protecting the mid turret for just a little while longer. And Loveland is off to the side there in defense, just in case anything does start to go horribly, horribly wrong here.
Just looking at the CS phase, Dr. Mundo is clearly going to be a problem this game, Pastry Dime. 72 CS compared to Godlike's 51. 2 kills as well. He's going to show up with a Spirit Visage at the next Dragon fight, you'd have to think. And it's going to be so hard for Royal to kill him through all that health and health regen.
I like Loveland here in the mid, trying to showing himself, I think. Ezreal had realized that Aatrox is off to the side there. Looks like Go is actually going to rotate down now as well as White's. A rare miss there on the fish. I guess maybe even was going after the creep wave just to try and stop some of the push, but Thresh Caitlyn really in full force here. As looks like Sun's building up towards a fairly fast Infinity Edge with that pickaxe, the first pick up here. And I mean, Uzi and Tabe. Uzi's getting plenty of farm, but this is kind of one of the things about this lane is that they don't tend to do too much fast pushing here. I mean, ever since Uzi kind of stopped playing Caitlyn, it seems like they just like to give Uzi a lot of farm and have control of the mid. And the problem is Tabe, for all the roaming he normally does, has not really got a chance to do so this game.
And with double AD, you expect them to have the 3 turrets down very early in the game. 11 minutes in, still don't have those 3 turrets down, so not getting the full purchase from the double AD.
No, I mean, the 1v2 for Ezreal's been a little tricky in terms of him pushing quite aggressively, but he's collected CS, got his tier happily on the way. I mean, San's trying here, but they are responding here down the bottom, and actually White's going to go in now as well. The Urchin Strike moving in there, the slow from Aatrox coming out as well, but Koma just going to take a little bit of poke damage. The bear actually used there by Roll. Now Godlike maybe going to go in there, but Cool turning around to kite him, and actually forces the flash out there from Godlike, but you mentioned it before, Tabe loves to use that bear creatively, and that does give them the mid tower there, which they really, really wanted.
Definitely, they equal up the turrets there 1-1.
Going now, returning as well on that Mundo. He's rotating down from the top line. His Spirit Visage very, very close at this point. Quite possibly has the gold for it. As a Lucky going to go ahead and donate blue buff over to White. It seems like, there we go, picks that one up. I mean, Royal kind of, a lot of aggression early on from OMG. Looked a little scary, but they've kept the gold very, very minimal between these two teams. Still just over 1,000 only between the two. And you know, Uzi's kept farming. Everyone's kept happy. And now it's a tower apiece here. Only one dragon, I believe, basically just the gold lead that OMG currently have. And, Royal, they could almost look bad here. His son could be in a little bit of trouble getting dove on by Whites one more time. Does have Chum the Waters ready. Does use it there as he pops it onto Caitlyn, and a very clean kill for Fizz once again. All of a sudden, Whites, who was having trouble up against Mundo, Royal, who kind of in general looked like they were getting over-aggressed on by OMG in this push comp, looking totally fine now, picking up key kills.
And you see here the Seeker's Arm Guards are not the Sheen rush we've been expecting from Whites. Doesn't mean that we won't see the Lich Bane first, but responding to the fact there's a lot of 80 damage coming out on the enemy team.
Good hook there from Coma as well. Will death sentence up Whites, but he'll kind of just walk away from that one. No other damage to speak of, just playful tricks is out of the way. And Loveland basically just here to cover the lane and pick up a little bit of golden experience where he can, as Uzi and Tabe continue to clean up minions here in the bottom. Twitch actually with a lot of gold there. I believe he has a full blade of the Ruin King. Yes, he does. So he's going to be able to pick that one up as soon as he goes back to shop. So nicely timed there for that one. 13 minutes on that blade of the Ruin King.
A lot of questions about builds, though, this game page time. I mean, Jarvan, we saw the DPS Jarvan coming out last time. We saw the top Jarvan. Probably not going to be the same thing here. We see a Ruby Crystal with double Doran, so maybe a Phage, maybe Trinity Force Jarvan coming out, maybe just true tank. Tank Aatrox probably confirmed with that Kindle Gem pickup here. Just a lot of question marks about builds, more so than you'd expect in a professional game, just because we're seeing a few things here just out of the ordinary.
And when a game's this close as we've seen before, it's usually a big, explosive mid-game that can make the difference here. The next Dragon is due up in 2 minutes' time now. I think we're going to have potentially a whole lot of fireworks to happen once that does roll around. I mean, Uzi now, he's in his element. He's got his Blade of the Ruin King ready to go. Caitlyn's on her way to the Infinity Edge, but doesn't quite have it. And if Twitch wants to go around in that ambush, potentially trying to 1v1 people or just be sneaky, pick up kills for himself, then he can certainly find the opportunity to do so now as well. As Lucky's going for a third straight blue steal, I believe, with Tabe and Uzi in defense here. I mean, they're going to try and get it done. A True Shot Lodge actually moves in there as well. That's a lot of damage onto Lucky, and they will pop the Bloodwell passive as Tabe throws the bear over the top, picks up the kill on the Coma, but now Cool's in there as well. Aatrox probably going to fall here as Cool does pick up the kill there with that mid-reel. Now Uzi rotating through as well. They're going to Elise, actually picked up by Tabe, and now there's Uzi. Comes out of the woodwork there, invisible from that stealth. The barrier forced to be popped there by Cool. Diving in forward as well, so Uzi's so aggressive there, and the expunge will clean him up there, and every single time Uzi, he seems to get a Blade of the Ruin King and try and kill people as soon as he possibly can, and he snowballs like no other person really does, Papa Smithy.
Absolutely. Well, an 80 carry with an ambush ability, the ability to come out from stealth is just so strong when you can get a slow from Blade of the Ruin King. The burst damage comes out. Uzi's looking great, and even though Whites hasn't gotten big, 2-1 and 0, the farm discrepancy, it was looking like a super tough lane against Dr. Mundo, and we thought Whites might be well held once again, but they've swapped it up, and suddenly, Roll look very competitive in this game.
5-5 now is the equalizing kills. In fact, they're about 100 gold ahead, which is not very much here in this game, but Royal have equalized the marginal difference that there was before. You can see Sana still working on his build, trying to get things going. And Uzi, he's just very scary. I mean, not to say that he doesn't play other 80 carries well, but it seems like Twitch made just for his style.
Yeah, no Vi or other really obvious aggressive choices here. In fact, Twitch, a pretty good champion to deal with Dr. Mundo just because you can stack that damage. It's not a Trinity Force carry, it's a true attack damage carry coming out for Royal.
A whole lot of pain as well, as the Spirit Visage is completed up for Dr. Mundo now, so Going is ready to go for the item. Man Immuno finished up for Ezreal as well, as Loveland comes down towards the bottom. Whites once more is just going to playful trick his way out. And looks like Cool now. He really doesn't like this Twitch here, as Uzi's just again aggressing onto him here in the mid. I mean, Twitch is just constantly walking back to the mid, farming up his 157 to 132. So a pretty comfortable 20 or so CS lead there for Uzi. And I mean, the mid tower, they've taken it, but they keep walking back to mid. There's just so much presence here. And look again, Uzi submarining in. He's going to throw out the Venom cast, the Blade of the Ruin King in there as well. And Cool Coma, sorry, forced to come in as the teleport's actually moving in now as well. Going's going to move in. Uzi's going to get himself grabbed up, and that is going to be the kill there onto Twitch. He's trying to make it happen, but can't quite spray and pray and get enough damage onto Ezreal. And a couple of people commit there, the teleport from Mundo included. They do pick up Twitch, but Dragon does go to Royal as a result.
Yeah, 1 kill for Dragon, still a very nice trade for Royal, but Uzi got a bit too cute there. No flash available on the teleport from Mundo. Look, it's a cooldown used for 1 kill and not an objective, so Royal won't mind it, but Uzi's snowball slowed a bit.
Yeah, OMG now pressuring this mid turret as well. Cool returning. Hasn't quite got any other items picked up. I did manage to go back and heal up after taking so much damage there from that Twitch. Going here with the Mundo cleavage, just going to try and poke back and forth under this turret here. And OMG, once again, I mean, they actually don't even just have a poke comp for Siege. They have a real Siege comp for Siege this time around. They've got the actual Caitlyn this time. It's Godlike. Going to get grabbed up there. Does get cleaned up by Sun as the True Shot Barrage comes through. And the Chum the Waters will hit onto Coma, but defensive box they use just to kind of lock that Jarvan in and to make sure that nobody else followed up. And OMG are going to be able to get this mid turret and take a marginal turret lead here at 2-1.
And with double AD carry so much single target damage coming onto that job, and that death sentence is going to live up to its name this time, pastry time. They don't have much initiation. It's really the cocoon or the death sentence, but the follow up damage is immense.
And this is the spot where OMG feel very comfortable with the comp they picked. They've got poke from Ezreal, they've got poke from Dr. Mundo. Tabe actually aggressively going on to sign the barrier, popped those on Tabe. Will get turned around as Going's able to pick up that kill. So a good attempt there from Tabe, trying to make a play, but Sun, barrier at the ready, able to not die to you. To support any burst, it's good CC, you do a decent amount of damage, especially early on, but not enough there to pick up Caitlyn before the barrier was able to be used. And unfortunately for Tabe, gets himself killed there, but does defend the tower in mid as a result.
So the Mana Moon completers. That, of course, confirms that we're going to see the true blue Ezreal. Wasn't too much of a question mark after the early tier pickup there. And Zhonya's Rush comes out from Fizz here, so he doesn't have that core damage item. He doesn't have that Lich Bane that really exemplifies Fizz's mid-game pressure. He's going to have that a little bit later here, but just be that much more survivable against the double AD.
Cool, just annoying Lucky at this point, throwing Mystic Shot after Mystic Shot. I think White's is coming around, maybe trying to bait this Ezreal, but looks like White's just going to come in, clean out creeps where he can. Yeah, he's going to feel a little safer, I guess, with the zonies. I mean, if he has to dive in, which he will at some point to get one of the other carries, then, maybe White just feels a bit more comfortable with that choice. But, from going for kind of an awful lane to start things off against Mundo to, a little bit more decent, White still feels not held here, but just not getting a snowball started. And maybe that's what he's realized, that going too deep potentially on an early Lich Bane to try and snowball is not what he needs to be doing. He needs to maybe go more of a conventional AP build and just try and play a more regular team fight instead of pure assassin.
I guess the little adaptation that could have been made here is that late game against double AD, Fizz will always have kill pressure against that, so he doesn't need to necessarily snowball quite as strong if he can ever get to the backline with Playful Trickster or just some smart use of Flash. There's a very weak backline coming out there between Ezreal and Caitlyn. Like, being able to assassinate one of them takes a lot away from the OMG comp there, so a mid to late game Lich Bane is just going to be as powerful as Lich Bane Rush. But the Zhonya's just to be that much more survivable might be more important early.
Yeah, I mean, with the double AD, especially with the mobile Ezreal, White's is going to have to take out one of them. The dive buddies of Jarvan plus Aatrox going to have to kind of take out the rest, and even Tabe as well, getting in aggressively. I guess the one thing I do worry about potentially is poor Uzi, because he's not going to have a whole lot of friends to help heal for him, unfortunately.
No, he needs to get to that item threshold where he can 1v1 the massive Dr. Mundo, 402 Dr. Mundo, who, even though he hasn't itemized for running at Uzi, he's still going to be just such a damage soak that's going to be hard for Uzi to move away from him and try and get damage onto priority targets.
Building up that Sunfire cap is going. He's very close to picking this one up as well. A big chunk of CS as well. Now trying to take out this bottom turret here. Activates Masochism. Does it. Nice big swipes with the cleaver there. I think backs off here as he knows Uzi's coming. He doesn't really want a 1v2. Cool as well. Spots a couple members of Royals up the top. And he will just throw out some Mystic Shots where he can. So the game, again, kind of at an interesting stalemate. I mean, only 3 towers in 20 minutes is, I would say, surprising for either of these teams, but fairly evenly matched, at least in this game. And the aggression's gone quite back and forth. You can see the goal difference very close here. I mean, both teams at this point, Pop, are just trying to find a foothold.
Absolutely. And, in this best-of-3 scenario, in this scenario where we're 1-1 and a best-of-5, both teams are just trying to find that identity, not make any big mistakes, because the momentum shift to be just one game a win away from being the top seed from China at Worlds is a massive change. So just no big risks being taken here, which after all the aggression today, as you point out, is just a bit of a stark contrast.
I mean, there is really a good opportunity for OMG to get the siege going here. When we often talk about perk, we talk about being even or better in terms of, needing to be in a position where you're kind of ahead, where you can actually poke people off towers and be enough of a threat. Do you think OMG are in a position where they can actually force a 5-man siege, potentially?
I think they're definitely getting there, especially with the strength of Dr. Mundo. Maybe one more completed item on that super tank could be important.
Maybe the Iceborne Gauntlet for Cool as well is what they're waiting for Threshold-wise, because OMG are really spending a lot of time. In fact, so are Royal, just hanging out in their lanes, trying to get some stuff done there. Force Flash there from Cool's Cataclysm comes in for Jarvan. Uses Arcane Tiff to get out from under the EQ combo. Cataclysm's going to force the flash after that as well. And Cool kind of getting picked on her. I think Royal smelled that there's maybe a weak turret they can take out here. He's going really pounding away towards the bottom as well. White's doing his best job here to clear out the minion waves as fast as possible. But Mundo's doing pretty nice work on these turrets here. And, Mundo at this point, not particularly afraid of this Fizz.
No, definitely not. Yeah, very confident, aggressive play coming out here. And we see some rotations coming out from OMG as well.
Dragon's actually coming up in 20 seconds, so if they can look to take out this weak turret and then dive now onto White's, they'll definitely convert a nice bit of Dragon pressure here, and they are going to come in. White's going to have to Playful Trickster very clever here. He's got his flash as well. Playful's out of the first bit. Flash hook, though, just missing as the flash out from Fizz comes through, and that was lightning fast reactions from both players there. Koma really tried to make the play, but White's had his finger on the D button there, able to get himself out. The tower does go down there. OMG going to continue to push, get the tier 2 they were working on earlier. In fact, looks like both AD carries could potentially get tied up here. Aatrox maybe going to go on, but walks himself into a Yordle snap trap. Oh, and poor Aatrox. I think he wanted to really queue in there, but actually got snared up. Now Tabe getting chased down by Loveland as Uzi joins the fray with Spray and Pray. They're throwing out the Venom cast. Godlike going to rejoin the party as well. Going kind of tight up there. The box moved in for Koma, but Godlike's actually going to take him out before that really does anything else. And Cool picks up Lucky there as well. So a trade there, 1-for-1. And that last little exchange of Sano getting chased down by White, who's really in and amongst it. Throws that Chums of Waters, goes into Zonies as well, and going very low there as Godlike will chase in for that Mundo and pick up the kill as Uzi's going to get that one there. So 2-for-3 trade overall there in favor of Royal. And I don't think any more objectives are going to be taken at OMG. Are probably happy to take the trades they did, but maybe Royal can get some push happening here.
Uzi doesn't seem to be done with this third base time.
He's going to keep going in. He's waddling forward. Cool. Needs his Arcane Chip back if he wants to ambush it for a little bit of movement speed, attack speed in there as well. But kind of backs off there. Cool. Played it exactly as his namesake did there, and it was able to just move under Uzi there, who realized, I don't really want to dive these turrets.
Just a super intriguing team fight there. You saw Uzi was able to attack very freely from behind the two tanks there, and the pass-through damage was affecting the other members there. So Uzi, who wasn't anti-carried in the measure you might expect from Dr. Mundo, he finally does finish his first armor item in that Sunfire Cape, but it probably has to be the later part of the game where Dr. Mundo is able to pick up a bit more armor where he can do some true anti-carrying, because it didn't come through in that fight.
He's got a big chunk of gold to go home and spend as well. He's already got Blade of the Rune King plus Phantom Dancer finished up. Caitlyn here going for a little bit more of the push build. Infinity Edge for decent damage. And of course we've got Static Shiv up now as well for Caitlyn. I mean, OMG now clearing out wards at Baron. Potentially going to be thinking about that one next. I mean, there's good objective damage here with the double AD. In fact, they are going to start it here, but a nicely timed ward there from Tabe will sniff them out. So perhaps just a feint there from OMG. And at this point, the game's still very close, but in fact, we're about 300 gold between these two teams, despite the 2 turret advantage that OMG have. In fact, Royal actually slightly ahead in gold.
And we've been wondering what Godlike would do with his gold. He's gone for the Trinity Force rush here. It's quite a late Trinity Force completion, and to be fair, Godlike kind of been left to his own devices and side lanes here. So he's going to have a lot of burst onto one of the 280 carries, you'd have to think, from OMG, but doesn't have those tanky stats to really complement a long team fight.
No, and Iceborne Gauntlet is finished up now on Cool as well, so maybe this is the Q OMG needed. I mean, the gold's still very close between these two teams. Royal maybe looking to try and get a foothold in this game, and OMG haven't really started 5-man pushing. They looked like they were doing a little bit of it about 10 minutes ago up towards the top lane, but kind of been halted a bit from then with all the aggression and all the picks that Royal can get off here. And looks like they're going up towards the top. Going to find himself in a little bit of trouble. Going to get slid up by Aatrox, knocked up in there as well. And he found a wild Uzi. Not what you want to be finding here. I mean, that regen actually keeping him alive for enough longer here. And Tabe going to look to make the stun there. The slow comes through for Lucky as Aatrox almost gets it done. Mundo back at half health now as the rest of Royal are going to come in. They're going to commit a lot here to killing him, but they do finally pick him off.
Yeah, they're going to maybe turn to Baron here, but a lot of members still up from OMG.
And they got to be careful because OMG with the double AD can push very, very quickly here. And OMG are actually going to back off, go towards Baron now. I think this is what Royal want here. San's very, very far out of the way here as Loveland gets aggressed on by Tabe. Will get stunned up. He's going to run interference here towards the Baron. Time the Waters actually hits on the Cool. And Loveland here maybe could go for a steal. I think he realizes the repel happens. Royal should just wait this one out. And I think it's going to be pretty hard for Loveland to get the steal. He's going to try going for the Cocoon. Uzi's actually going to pick up the kill. And there's the Baron buff up for Royal. Now Tabe, they're quite low. Uzi low as well. He's going to ambush out of the way. His Twitch for Cool around the side will pick him off. And Janitor Ezreal maybe going to be in effect now as Godlike chasing after him, but that Iceborne Gauntlet could cause some problems. The Sun does go down there. Ezreal with the True Shot Barrage almost picking up Godlike in there as well, and Jarvan and Aatrox here going to find himself poked as well as the bear will actually sniff him out here. White's already assassinated one carry, going to look for a second here as he wants to go after Cool, but Arcane Chief probably going to make that not a real thing here as you're going to get a little sandwich. Does he have his flash? No, he doesn't. And White is able to clean up the kill. He does now have the Lich Bane, by the way, so plenty of burst being added. And as you said, when he can get to those squishy carries, so much damage from this Fizz.
And the texture of a fight is so different with Dr. Mundo being absent based time, because then the true squishiness of OMG's comes out there. There was no Dr. Mundo to run at an AD carry or to zone one of the damage threats from Royal. And able to get into the backline there was White's. And as we said much earlier in the game, an assassin against low base stat AD carries is going to be able to assassinate them with ease. And it looked like they'd put too many eggs in killing the Herculean go going on the Dr. Mundo here, but they transitioned to a Baron pickup and a delayed ace, so just a massive, massive mid-game win for Royal.
Warden's mail up for Mundo now as well. He's still getting tanky, still getting big, but, you know, if he's caught out of position, Royal can kill him, as they've shown by committing pretty much everything in the kitchen sink. But it's enough. There was enough to give them Baron, in fact, as well. Not to mention a couple of extra kills they got as OMG tried to come into defense. So now Royal, the gold lead's still not all that big between these two teams, about 3,000 gold right now. But Royal do have some ground to make up in terms of objectives, but they do have the Baron buff on most of their members now as well. You have to think that they are going to look in to try and push down some of these turrets, although their siege is not super great. They can probably engineer a dive. And we've seen this situation from Royal where they've been ahead and they've slowly kind of ground out the game, just kind of cleverly forcing objectives. How do you think they do it, Papa, when they don't have a massive lead? They've got a small lead, but it's only a small one.
I guess one of the most important tipping points for me is that the last Whisper is complete on Uzi here. So although it will take certainly a long chunk of time to get through Dr. Mundo's armor and, of course, his regen, he does have the tools to deal with that Dr. Mundo in his face.
Yeah, Uzi now with the triple 80 carry damage items. He's got pretty much everything he needs, at least for now, in terms of damage. Godlike down the bottom. Did get the tower as well, by the way. And Tabe is rotating through the jungle with the oracles here. Royal really just trying to cut off vision so they can set up plays potentially here. And OMG pretty much forced it to stay at their turrets and not defend at this point, because you really don't want to be walking into it through your own jungle that's unwatered when the enemy team's got a Baron. In fact, Twitch, they're moving in for a bit of damage, but Meaning Wave does run out there. Royal looking to get them siege done here. Tabe actually scouting with his bear as well. Just going to say hello. They give somebody an extra 50 gold. Tibbers always carries some extra gold just in case. I mean, maybe looking to dive here. That's Godlike going very aggressive. The double knockup there actually finds Sun there. White's in the back as well, trying to pick somebody. He finds Caitlyn there as he throws out the Chum the Waters, and the zone is there as well. And Uzi absolutely massive spray and pray damage there. Picks up one kill there on Tacoma. A 5v4 here, forced under Tal for Royal. Could make it happen as well. And you know what? Royal, they're happy to pick up one person and look for a push here.
So much damage coming out from all the Royal members here, Besham, with the items they've picked up. It doesn't feel like the two tanks on the OMG side can do anything about it. And
White just obliterates Lovely in there as well. I mean, it's not even two tanks at this point, at least. Not all that tanky Hugo going, getting jumped on as well. Uzi flashes forward there to go after Cool, throwing out the cask. But Ezreal will flash himself out of the way here. And Royal, they don't really care anymore. They wanted a couple of extra kills. They've got 3 already. They're going to get this mid inhibitor forward as well. And OMG just really can't get the comp going here. They had the double AD. You could kind of tell that they're probably looking for some fast push here, but never really came to fruition. And the aggressive pick up for Roll really made it happen here. Cool, though, actually getting aggressed on as Uzi gets very deep. They're trying to cake out San as well. Will actually get the job done up against Caitlyn, who almost picks up Uzi. And the dives continue here. Royal, you know what? They take the last few kills. They're going to take this game here as well. And Uzi's Twitch so low, but just stood his ground and fought everybody. And Uzi, when he's ahead, he tends to win.
OMG, that game escalated so quickly against them. When we saw that solo kill from Dr. Mundo that got going, taking down Whites, it looked like they'd had the answer to the fizz pit. They got the lanes they wanted to. Some little things happened. That huge trade in mid where Royal picked up some exit kills there. And the Baron especially. They put so many resources into picking up the Dr. Mundo, who didn't even have his teleport up. He wasn't even a split push threat. But they transitioned that into Baron. And the exit kills despite all of that, then pushed for the win. So such a big win for Royal, almost out of nowhere. And suddenly, OMG are at a risk here of entering into Group A. And Royal are one step away from being the top team in China for 2013.
Well, we're going to have at least one more game to bring you after our short break here. OMG currently down, which is not something we thought we were going to say. 1-2 up against Royal, who have not dropped a game in the grand final so far, because of course OMG started one game up. We'll be back, guys. Season 3 World Championships Regional Finals for China coming right back.
a small island in an endless sea, confined to a tiny spit of sand, unable to escape. But tonight, it's heavy stuff.
Eight out of 10 people agree Colgate's...
就差这一场。
And welcome back, everybody, to what might be our last game here, the Season 3 Regional Championships here for China. My name is Pace Time. I'm joined by Papa Smithy, straight into, again, our potential last game here, Royal, and what you might have to call an upset, Papa Smithy, 2-1 up against OMG from the lower bracket.
I refuse to believe it, Pastry Time. We've had 2 3-match series. I refuse to believe that we will not see a titanic 5th match right here in this series.
Well, if that's going to happen, OMG going to have to make some magic happen here in this 4th game overall, I suppose. No, 3rd game, sorry, in the series. It's confusing. I'm not sure. It's gonna
I mean, I think we're at 15 hours of casting for this weekend so
something
far.
like
So
that.
please give us a little bit of a leash, guys. We're doing our absolute best here. At least the tech issues, mostly at least, seem to be looked after.
And thankfully, despite all that, no matter the obstacles that come in our way, the one thing that stays consistent is fantastic League of Legends here. It's been great all weekend covering the games here from China and the bans thick and fast here in this one. Orianna plus Ari, the first two bans for Royal. OMG going to go with Zed and Annie. Renekton there thrown in by Royal and OMG. Considering their last option once again, I didn't like the Annie the last time they played against it. Don't seem to like any of what Royal are playing actually. You can see just on the camera there. Looking a little dejected at OMG. Didn't really expect to be behind in this grand final. Thought from the upper bracket they've had this one in the bag starting a game up. And Elise, I think very intelligently, is going to be the last ban here.
And so it's one of those situations here, Pastry Time, where, Royal seemed to have been solved. It seemed like OMG had the tonic. But one of the key components of that OMG comp was that Orianna. They're getting so much purchase out of Cool's Orianna. Such a massively strong force on that champion is Cool. But it's been banned out consistently since then. And their second and third string solutions for the assassin problem that is Whites haven't worked out.
And Shen's actually going to go over now. A champion that was banned in the last two games here in this grand final. Not going to get banned out here and immediately snapped up by Godlike and OMG. Jax would be quite a statement here in this game if they go for it. But they're going to consider Thresh and actually going to take away Gragas here as well.
Ari's been banned out here. We talked about how the Ari matchup is usually quite favorable against Gragas, but of course, we saw evidence to the contrary earlier today when Gragas was able to get snowballed ahead in that matchup here. Taking away Gragas, I mean, Whites has looked so comfortable on that champion. Probably a smart move.
Yeah, White's instead just going to go back to Fizz, it seems like. And Whites did have some trouble up against Gragas yesterday when he played a Positive Energies JoJo in the same matchup here. But, seems to feel okay here. Lucky going to go back to Jarvan, it looks like, as well. And looks like Vayne maybe going to get the nod here. Although OMG have plenty of options here. You can see Cool mashing the random button. Just having a little bit of fun. I mean, OMG, all the fun they might be having could stop soon here. They are still through the worlds, which they'll be happy about. Vi Vayne, the first two picks. Oh my goodness, Uzi. No fear. Absolutely no fear. Just says, pick Vi. I'm going to pick Twitch again.
He's just been so comfortable on that champion Pastry Time that you can't really deny his pick there. And it does give them little things. It's not an ideal pick against Vi in team fights, but it's something that gives them early pressure. Because Twitch's early trades, even in this nerfed state in 3.10a, are super, super strong. And Royal, they love to play with those 3 out of turrets down. They're going to go for it again here.
Yep, I love the Lulu pickup here as well to pair with the Twitch. It just gives extra insurance to Uzi, who's absolutely going to get dived on by Vi, and now a Jax potentially as well. I don't know if we've ever seen OMG play Jax, but Jax, at least in the LPL Summer Papa Spit, he has not had a fantastic win rate, unfortunately.
I mean, he hasn't had that win rate, but the new Trinity Force helps him so much.
That's true.
When we were on patch 3.10 and 3.9, we talked about the 7,000 gold floor for Jax to do damage. He kind of needs that Trinity Force and the Blade of the Ruin King before he's team fight relevant, can really be the champ that everyone knows that Jax can be in the late game. However, with the new Trinity Force, that extra burst of damage coming out there, you still want to have that combination, but Trinity Force into tanky with maybe a Vampiric Scepter is still a very, very deceptively strong Jax build right now, and anything that brings the champ closer to dominating teamfight presence earlier is a scary thing given the power of that champion.
So OMG going to bring out Jax here in this one. I mean, they need to bring out something because they're struggling currently. Need to win 2 straight games in a row if they want to be straight through the quarterfinals for the Season 3 World Championships. And Royal, almost out of nowhere, from a few heartbreaking losses, have won every single game when they needed to, and looking absolutely dominant still against a team like OMG. And that's not something we're supposed to be saying about the team that is, I think, arguably still at this point the best team in China. But hey, they're not just playing for the quarterfinals, maybe they're playing for that title too.
Absolutely. And Royal winning this series, given the fact that teams knew that World Elite and Victor's game had fallen away a little bit. Of course, not here at this stage. But for OMG, the new real threat, the real hope that a lot of Chinese fans had placed for Worlds to not come out as first seed, just to be a super, super surprising result.
And Royal here going to take a lot of their trusty champions into battle. Godlike back on that Shen. Uzi on Twitch once more here. OMG, they found the counter once with Vi. It looked really, really strong here. Sun, interestingly, going with Vayne. So we're going to go back to Twitch Vayne, actually. Not even going to have Ezreal in and amongst it at all. Although they do have Jax for the Trinity Force there on the OMG side. And possibly one for Shen there as well. And Royal going to continue their string of aggressive level 1 invades here. I honestly really like it. I think it suits the way they like to play here. Tabi with the glitter lance can maybe poke off onto Loveland there, and they don't have the Annie. They don't always need that aggressive stun. They just seem to love playing aggressively, and they always do well when they are able to get aggressive and get things going from there.
Definitely. And so the mid lane matchup, Fizz versus Gragas, I do like it for Fizz most of the time, but you do make out a very important point. The last time we saw that matchup, Gragas was able to do very capably there. So I won't count Cool out just yet.
Yeah, Gragas has proved to be quite a strong champion. I mean, he's a great laner in a lot of different ways. Once he gets ahead, I mean, it's almost going to be Battle of the Assassins from mid in a way for me here, which is going to be quite interesting to see. OMG have got a pretty curious comp here. A lot of it's going to rest on Loveland's aggression from the jungle from Vi, of course. Really needs to kind of get Jax especially, and even a laner like Vayne, who with an aggressive support like Thresh is going to have a little bit more fun of a time. Probably going to see 2 different 2v1 lanes as well. As you see 3 people already moving towards the blue buff there on the Royal side for OMG. They're going to do an invade. Royal going to do the same. In fact, 4-man invade it looks like, possibly coming out from OMG. But it looks like we might just have a trade of the buffs here.
It does look like the buff trade here. And the late game is going to be super interesting because if they can burst down Twitch before that Shen Stand United comes through, then I think OMG are comfortably going to take down team fights. And they've got that Vi locked down into the potential burst of Jax and Gragas. But otherwise, the Shen ultimate there might be the ultimate tonic to stop that Vi strength.
And it's sort of an interesting swap up here. It's almost like OMG didn't want to get their mid laner 2v1'd again. They've actually swapped Thresh and Vayne into the mid against White's Fizz, and then leaving Gragas down the bottom 1v2 against Lulu plus Twitch. So, curious to see how OMG have decided to land this. They do get the top lane matchup still in Shen versus Jax, but curious to see what happens here. I mean, 2 reasonably aggressive 2v1 lanes here. Decent amount of kill potential for the OMG side, a little bit more push on the Royal side, and as of course, we have 2v1 lanes. If any sort of fast push is dictated here, it really opens up the early game in a totally different way.
And whenever we've seen Gragas in an off lane, we've always said that if the enemy team's trying to push aggressively, Gragas is actually pretty happy. If he can get the Drunken Rage at level 2, the 30 AD he gets from that steroid allows him to last hit at the turret very, very easily. He can last hit, he does quite happily, but he doesn't have that ranged wave clear until much later in the game, until he hits about the level 9.
Lucky coming up here as well. It's a great turn on to go going. He's going to get the EQ combo and go going. Actually looking for the counter strike. Has his flash up as well. And now going to juke in towards the brush here. Still has flash if he wants to use it. Does flash over the top there. And Lucky no more flash to follow with. Shen's actually flashed over the top looking for him now as well. And go going. Nowhere else really left to run. The EQ will actually hit him there as he's able to knock him up just towards the end there. Coma looking back there. The exhaust and the flare used as well as Godlike tries to find the torn out onto Thresh. Go going. Still running here as White's now going to move around the side. The counter strike not going to be enough here as Jarvan picks up the kill. White's flashes over the top as well. Going to playful now on top of Coma who's forced to flash himself. And a great gank there from Lucky. A little bit of a weird path for going to run around, but didn't really have a whole lot of good juke options there. And does get himself first blooded.
I see Vi come around the bot lane, but
San
also
picks up
flashing.
Whites. Yeah, no flash there for Fizz, able to make a very aggressive play there with the 2v1. Now leveling over the top onto Uzi there. Will move the damage in. Cool. Looking for the body slam. Finds a great knock up there from Loveland's Vault Breaker, and the barrel roll is enough to pick up the kill there for Cool as Tabi does glitter lance the other 2 away.
It's always surprising.
City one more time. The taunt just missing there under Coma, but Lucky here with enough damage. I think he's maybe going to get it done. Doesn't quite there as the death sentence just misses here. And all of a sudden, this game is really, really aggressive. This, when we came into it, when we started the first game of the day actually for this qualifier, this is what we expected. And it seems like in this game, both teams are really trying to bring it home.
Absolutely. I'm always continually surprised with just the amount of burst damage from just the basic stats of the Vi Vault Breaker. I mean, the Q into E combination just completely wrecked Uzi there. He wouldn't have accounted for that. A nice pickup on that bot lane.
And as a result, 2 kills to OMG, 1 kill so far to Royal, and a lot of aggression just across the board here. About 1,000 gold up for OMG as a result, but it's very early days here in this game as Twitch returns to lane. Everybody else seems to be back with a short death timers here, nice and early on. Double Dorans up for Gragas, possibly going to make things different down the bottom lane, and nothing really of note other than that, just some pretty standard items across the board.
A 2v1 in mid lane, not very happy times for Whites. Yeah, and we have seen that when Whites isn't able to roam, that's when OMG is most comfortable. So although he's going to be able to farm fairly respectably, they're not going to probably have too much skill pressure on him. I say that after they've already picked up an early kill. You have to think that White's map pressure and his ability to move around the map, which is something that's been a complete treat to watch and something that's been very common in Royal's victory. It's going to be well held in this game.
Yeah, and White's, I mean, it was very smart for the kill pressure they got out, knowing that White's aggressively flashed after the kill. I mean, going, may have got himself first blooded, but bought a really nice opportunity there in mid that was capitalized on by Sun and Koma there in the mid. So things looking good here. I guess the junglers, as always, going to determine a lot of the early game here. If Lucky can keep up the pressure, that'd be good news for Royal. And of course, the opposite is true for Loveland, is you're going to get aggressive on this Vi right now. So Lucky now in mid, babysitting it up. White's hanging out, I think doing a little bit of juggling for himself. Going to rotate around. Maybe actually look for a full rotation here. Yep, Uzi's going to find out. Loveland over the top. Going to look for the Vault Breaker. Finds the invisible Twitch. The grab there as well comes through. The Dark Passage going to right send in, and a great Condemn moves in. The barrel over the top. Almost enough for Gragas to pick it up. Fizz does pick up the counter kill there as Koma goes down on. As Whites is able to slay Thresh. A nice trade there, but really, really smart play there from Vi. Kind of spotting the swap there and actually able to pick up a kill onto Tabe, sorry, as Uzi was invisible there, able to get out of the damage. More pressure actually coming through as Loveland finds Whites here, but Lucky's over the top. Going to knock up that Loveland, and Paul Vi probably dead here as Whites picks up yet another kill here for Fizz. And it always seems like no matter what happens, Whites just finds a couple of kills in the early game. And I don't know if it's by coincidence or by design, but it really helps the snowball that he's looking for.
I think he's just the ultimate opportunist, Pastry Time, and I'd be happy to say that he's just a lucky player, but how many times have we seen him make really audacious roams from top lane or bot lane when he's in off lane as the mid lane, you know, when he's against a Renekton as Fizz, and then pick up a kill? At some point, it's just really good map vision. It's just like junglers who are always there to counter jungle. Whites is always there to pick up a kill or clean up a skirmish.
He's going to be happy with that gold. Not getting too much CS, unfortunately, in the other 1v2. Then Gragas is streets ahead on that value, 33 to 15 right now. It's more than double currently for Cool. Was struggling a little bit now with some levels. Is not too unhappy, especially after that kill he got for an extra early Dorans has made last hitting quite a breeze down the bottom in his own 2v1 lane. And we did have, of course, the rotation from Royal as well, giving Cool a little bit more room to maneuver. Looks like our Giant Spot already finished up here for Shen, who's got that to accompany his Doran's shield. Spirit turns up for the junglers, which they've had for a short while, and a second Doran's now for Fizz. We imagine that we're going to have either Azonia's or a Lichbane as the next item coming out for Whites.
And the CS value is actually very one-sided for going here. If we look, he's 19, 20, 21 CS ahead of Shen here, and although he doesn't have the kill pressure on Shen, it feels like Jax is getting through his laning phase after that early death very unimpeded. So Trinity Force Jax probably going to be a very real thing 20 to 21 minutes into this game.
Phage just picked up there for Jax as well, so going to make his landing even more fun here as Loveland. Now with level 6, able to make some stuff happen here with Assault and Battery. I mean, I think Uzi, aware of this, realizes doesn't really want to get assaulted by just walking through mid there, looking off to the side, maybe trying to get a gank, but looks like red buff's going to be the next thing there for Vi, and we'll go from there. Cool down the bottom, able to push Whites in a little more now as well. In fact, the level disadvantage is pretty significant down the bottom. Whites just ding 6. Cool with blue buff is at level 7 currently.
Yeah, and he's gone for the double Doran start here. Definitely no sign of a Sheen just yet. So the kill
Chum the Waters hit him, and now Lucky's going to come in as well. White's with the Urchin Strike, a great ult there from Cool to keep him out, but White's may be able to chase here. Flash Body Slam will get him out from under it, though, and really smart play there from Cool to shut down that gank.
Yeah, just smart play, absolutely there.
White's now trying to clear things out. Looks like more rotation happening here as OMG now rotating up towards his fist. Really want to keep Whites down, it seems like. And I have to say, the way OMG beat Royal in their first best of 3 this morning, 2-1, and just the way generally how Whites has been playing, I think that's probably a smart idea to try and keep the fish down. Uzi now as well going to rotate around, looking somewhere. I guess just checking. Going to get some wards down here. Top end still going well for going here, as they are Shen and Jack seem to basically just be trading CS at this point.
Yeah, just dealing with some stream issues on my side, but a free farm Jax Pastry Time, just letting that live, and then White's getting well held. You have to think the mid-game team fight damage is going to be in the advantage of OMG.
Yeah. And Loveland here going to start up this dragon. It seems like Gragas going to come through to help, and the bottom lane likely going to rotate up as well. Should be able to have a dragon pretty efficiently here, and that is going to be the first dragon going nice and cleanly, it seems like, over to OMG. No real jungler in the vicinity to contest, and that is going to be the first one picked up just before the 10-minute mark.
1.7 gold in the lead here. Not a big lead, but the CS fails, both Jax and Vayne, both Jax and Gragas, sorry, comfortably ahead of their lane opponents. Yeah, Uzi actually bodes poorly into the late game.
It does. I mean, Uzi's keeping up as always here, Sun with a nice bit of CS as well. But as you mentioned, this is Raw kind of needs some momentum going through, especially when they're running the true assassin here, that White's Fizz there that just loves to snowball on people when he can. He does it often in games, but OMG managed to beat it twice in a row. If they're going to do it If they're going to actually claim the quarterfinal spot at Worlds, they're going to need to do it twice in a row here as well, potentially, unless they ban it in the next game here. They're certainly going to have to beat it in this one, though, and doing a good job so far of keeping Royal down. I mean, it's kind of interesting to see OMG almost get flustered and lose these first 2 games here, but OMG seem to, have a little more under control. They're going to go in for the dive here. The Stage Unite actually coming out onto Como, who's forced to flash out of the way. A nice condemn, actually, will move Godlike back here as he comes in with that Shen ultimate. He's still going to look to chase here. Actually, flash taunts there on top of Coma. Now White's going to follow up as well. The box moves in there, but the damage has been done. And White is going to get himself yet another cool. But Cool's coming down now as well. White has to be very careful here. One ult from Greg is going to kill him. Forced to flash out. Sun flashes after him. Playful tricks out of the way, but Cool finds the ultimate there. Sun with the last auto attack as well. That will pick up now as Lucky going to rotate down. Now dump onto that Vayne. The Cataclysm over the top will get the kill. And Cool here now 1v3 as Greg is going to have to get absolutely out of dodge here and back towards the mid lane.
And Royal go 2 for 1 in that trade. Very happy with how it worked out. And Fizz, he's being so well held in terms of farming here. He can never use his playful tricks to clear waves because he's against 2 opponents. Of course, they're deathly afraid of the grab coming out from Thresh there. But if he's going to pick up these kills, it props up his effective CS values. So he's just, keeping within touching distance, but definitely not snowballing out of control.
And White's interestingly rotating up towards the top lane now, it seems like. Going to go back here. He's just pushed away into tower. Not interested in potentially dealing a ton of damage to that. Just going to let the minion wave do whatever it can. Sheen now picked up for Jax and a ward as well, so he's going to return to the top lane a little bit safer and just keep farming towards a fairly fast Trinity Force at this rate. He's doing pretty comfortably on CS. I don't know if Whites is happy with this matchup up against Jax, but that is what they're doing in terms of rotation, at least for now, with Godlike going down towards the bottom lane with his ultimate.
I mean, Jax, once he hits level 6, of course, has access to that free magic resist there from his ultimate. So it's going to be very hard to trade with Jax, but maybe going to be able to actually get some farm going. He can actually use his AoE wave clear without being, death sentenced there and just facing instant death.
That's true. Godlike going to continue farming down the bottom. He's been doing okay. We'll be pretty happy in whatever situation he ends up in. Loveland here going to start off blue for Cool. As Gragas is going to be able to pick up that buff soonish. I guess they mistimed the blue slightly there as Cool kind of sheepishly walks away from that. Looking to maybe get the counter push going as Godlike is starting to push now in towards the bottom lane. 2 members still in here for Royal. I think Royal kind of realizing that, with 2 people starting in there, they probably should have felt like moving everybody else at the end here. And they're really, again, trying to keep control of the center of the map. And this game is very, very close, Papa Smithy, between these two. About 1,400 gold or so between the two, and no towers filled at the 13-minute mark. In another game that may be maybe not too unusual, but in this game, especially with these 2 teams, they're really trying to find a foothold in the mid-game here.
And for the first time out of, I believe, 8 games that we've seen so far, but this is the 9th game we've casted of Royal today, for once, the Uzi snowball has not begun. He's actually comfortably far behind in gold because of the 3 kills that San's picked up here. His CS value is always healthy. That's the Uzi we know and love, but definitely not snowballing like we might expect.
No, and Vayne's very close to a Blade of the Ruin King as well. And we've seen Blade of the Ruin King, Vayne versus Twitch before. Vayne often wins that matchup, even when Twitch also has the book. And of course, Uzi probably not going to have the item right after. Anyway, it looks like Whites could be in trouble here. Loveland actually looking in for the gank, but there's Lucky over the top as well for the knockup. There's Salt and Battery onto Whites. Will pick it up, though, as Fizz isn't able to run away from that one. Used all his cooldowns, kind of getting out of the initial burst, and then Avaya was able to clean him up there. So, nice timing there from Lucky, but not enough, unfortunately, to get it done. Now, Cool going to rotate in towards the mid lane and try and prevent the push in from Twitch and Tabe.
Yeah, if he's not able to playful tricks to any of that damage, the low base stats of Fizz, for once, being preyed upon by that duo of Jackson and Vi.
Dark Passage going to ride Loveland in as well. Looking for a Vault Breaker. Death Sentence almost finding Lucky there as well. But I think OMG are going to be happy with the pressure out on this tower. Instead, Jax very, very good at pushing when it comes to standing DPS. And Cool just rotating down. They're trying to keep Godlike off that bottom tower here in OMG fashion. Will pick up the first tower of the game. It's a little slow in this one, just around the 14.5-minute mark, but they do claim the first one here.
We've got about 1.5 minutes till Dragon comes up here. Not sure if there'll be just enough gold for Trinity Force to complete it on Jax. He is going back to shop now, so there is that potential. But the snowball, there it is, the Trinity Force. No boots completed, but a lot of Jax coming out of the Dragon. A lot of damage from Jax coming out of the next team fight.
Probably a lot of Jax at the next Dragon as well, to be
Absolutely.
perfectly fair. Trinity Force, a big power jump there for going. And Blade of the Ruin King's finished up for Vayne as well. If there was ever a window where OMG could look to fight at this point, it is absolutely right now. And Dragon is back in about 50 seconds or so, and it's going to be quite a strong group here, you have to think, from OMG. I mean, White's up towards the top lane. He can't get down there with his ultimate because he's not Shen. And OMG probably going to look to group for this Dragon as soon as they possibly can. And a very, very strong set of item timings here can afford them a strong fight if Royal decide to go for it.
And White's just trying to come up and get some farm up the top line here. 57 CS at 15 minutes. Obviously been well held by the OMG side here. Won't be in position for Dragon, you don't think? Maybe they'll just be happy to get a bit of CS on that Fizz to hopefully get him towards his Lichbane before that 20-minute mark.
Dragon coming up in 12 seconds now, sorry, about 10 as we tick through it all. Lovely. And just scouting things. It actually has an Oracles already. They're really going to try and make sure they have complete control of this objective. Rotating down with going as well. Going to do a bunch of damage to this bottom tower here. Loveland Vault Breakers out of the way. Ooh, very cute leap strike there. San actually picks up a kill onto Tabe. Explosive cast going to Uzi, going to do damage. San aggressively moving in there. Moves out with the Dark Passage. One of the nice things about Thresh is that, you know, you ever go super aggressive, you can always get lanterned out there. And I mean, OMG in 2 separate lanes now, looking to be very, very aggressive and trying to take out some more outer turrets here. I mean, White's up the top lane is desperately trying to do something, get some gold and take out the top turret, but even Cool's rotating up there now is going to kind of deny all the free farm that Fizz was appreciating for the short while there.
It looks like he'll get the mid turret here. They're also going to rotate onto the Dragon. OMG, they're starting to really get those objectives that have kind of been starved from them by Royal in the other games that we've seen today.
Just a strong piece of farm here from Jackson. Of course, some nice landing there from San as well. Looks like Vi will pick up the Dragon there. Lucky tried to steal it. Assault and battery over the top. He's forced to flash there, but he will get himself out of the way. He's going still chasing out Godlike here in power, ticking away. The leap strike on there as well. Godlike, he's reasonably tanky, but he's going to have a little bit of trouble. The Cataclysm over the top, maybe going to save him at will there, and White's even dives in there as well. Uzi actually, quite crucially possibly, picks up the kill onto Jax for a bit of bonus gold.
And smooth moves from Godlight to position right next to that cove that Jax could EQ over, so that Jarvan could EQ over on. Smart, clever play, and it gets them the kill.
So Royal, I mean, certainly still in it here. The gold lead actually reasonably significant at this point for OMG. 4,500 and counting at this point. Although White is diving on there. The Chum the Waters will hit there. The Stand United in as well. The Shark moves in there. The Shadow Dash in there as well for the taunt. And almost clearly lances up Loveland as well. Beautiful bit of play there, but Loveland's going back in. Doesn't have his ultimate though. Going to move back in for the Vault Breaker. Cool actually moves into Drunken Rage. The tower does go down to minions, so OMG at least buy enough time to clear out that objective for themselves. And again, despite not having a super massive lead, about 4,000 gold or so ahead already. That's decent at 18 minutes or so.
And that's the second time this week in League of Legends that we've seen that a knock-up effect's one of the few things that can answer the Dark Passage.
That's true. Cancelling the Lantern, moving through. Uzi here up in the top. Can't cleanse that either. He does have his Blade of the Ruin King, which is good for him. But he's going to try and do whatever he can.
Looking at the items here, bit of cooldown reduction. So clearly the Spirit Visage will be the next pickup on Jax here, on Shen here. And Jax, he's coming in for damage trades. Very lucky that Lucky's in range here. He's going to go for the damage here. Going. He's going to feel very hard done by.
Yeah, and looks like Jax, who actually leaves out, they could be okay here. Spray and Pray still in for Uzi, but does pick him up with the Deadly Venom plus Expunge. And that nice moves there from Uzi. Able to clean up a kill there and get himself yet another kill. And apologies there. There is actually some sort of alarm test going on in the building we are casting from. So apologies there for me cutting out, but I figured you guys didn't really want to hear any sort of crazy zombie apocalypse alarm. But we are back now. Everything is okay. And I'm sorry to leave you, Papa.
The action always comes thick and fast in this stream pastry time.
It does, in more ways than one here. Is OMG looking good here. The gold difference been kind of mediated here a little by Royal as they look to even things up to about 2,000 or so. Looks like Koma going for the hook. Almost lands it in there onto Uzi, but it's aggression central across the border. I think OMG kind of realized that Tabe, oh my goodness, the mini-stone into the wall was sick, and that's a nice kill there for Cool. Well deserved for Gregus there, and poor Tabe completely out of position. Uzi as well, they're going to get spotted by the Oracles. Actually turns around to fight here, does Uzi though. The Dark Passage moving in, Koma trying to flame back Cool in there as well. The box on top of Uzi, can he 1v3 here? Don't think so as he gets hooked up there by the Dark Passage, and OMG just all over Royal at this point. Really, they've never seemed to get a foothold here, and OMG for once out-aggressing Royal in this series.
Worth noting that although Shen didn't have Stand United up, did manage to split push and pick up one more turret to close this gold lead here. 2.8k compared to the early 5k gold lead that OMG had. Much more manageable from Royal's side.
And items really just picking up across the board here. We saw the Jax Trinity Force already. He's building up towards his next item here, which quite possibly could be the Blade of the Ruin King. He's got a Vamp Scepter hanging out in his inventory. You've got Spirit of the Ancient Golem on both junglers here with Boots of Mobility, Ninja Tabi up on Jarvan instead. Lichbane completed for Fizz with Need to See Large Rod. Athene's there for Gragas. Double Blade of the Ruin King. In fact, very similar AD carry builds so far with Phantom Dancer now just being completed for Vayne with That's with it likely being on the way for Twitch as well, and a couple of Saturns and some JP10s and your general support fare down the bottom of the table there as well. So things looking good here. The gold lead not too massive here. The tower's actually reasonably close as well. Papa Smithy, I think it's expected at this point for this series. We are going to have quite the close game here, it seems.
I think so, but the one thing I'll say is that I love OMG's comp in the late game. Jax in the late game, Gragas in the late game, Vayne in the late game, so strong. Royals team no slouches, but not quite on the same level.
And Godlike, he's trying to split push here, but he cannot 1v1 here. The ult actually from Gragas moving Godlike a little too far forward after he shadow dashed out. It was almost perfect to move him back into Jax and secure that kill, but that's still forcing Shen out of lane and demonstrating that Shen cannot actually 1v1 Jax at this juncture. And I don't think that's going to get much easier for anybody on the Royal side, because Jax, he's quite the duelist, Papa, I'll have you know.
Absolutely, and the Spirit Visage that he's going to be completing next won't help him in that regard. Probably going to go for a Trinity Force just to have a bit of damage for trades. And of course, the Shadow Dash does reduce attack damage taken by 50% for 3 seconds, so there might be some potential for trades, but still going to be very difficult.
I mean, Shen's going to have to get very tanky for that to matter. Godlike again, going to get body slammed upon. Cool, almost finds his line there for the and there he goes. Slams right into poor Shen. Now OMG going to continue to try and aggress onto these turrets. 3v3, I think, actually, in the mid here. White's going in, no, 3v4 as they re-engage here. White's going over the top, massive damage there into Sun, and Tabe does pick up that kill there, the True Sight, also helping out to pick up the Invisible Vein under final hour. Now Royal going to look to push here, but down the bottom, OMG pushing it towards the inhibitor turret now as well. I've seen it once before back in the LPL. You don't want to make some awkward turret trades here, and that damage down towards the bottom could be very bad news here for Royal.
You never want Jax to free hit your turret. I'm sure if anyone here has played solo queue, that thwump sound on your turret is always a very bad sign. The new buff Trinity Force, of course, makes him even more potent at taking down those structures.
Good news, though, for Royal is that they didn't take too much here, and Uzi aggressively moving into Koma, who death sentences instantly off to a creep. That was incredible intuition there, just to kind of know, if there's an Uzi here, I need to immediately go to a creep. That's like Lee Sin queuing to a creep without even thinking. I think you can tell Koma's played some Thresh games, shall we say, and that was a beautiful to watch here. Now Tabe, I think he's in trouble. He's forced to flash out of the way, but Assault and Battery over the top going to try and secure the kill and support damage coming through there as the Dark Passage rides in. White's actually riding Shen in to the back there, trying to make some damage down there as Koma will finally get crushed down as Uzi picks himself up yet another kill. So Royal really trying to chase back in here. That's a flash actually forward there for Lucky as they go onto Loveland. Pick up Vi there as White gets that kill. Now Sun getting down the point as well. What is happening in this game, Papa Smithy? People just keep dying left, front, and center. The Shadow Dash in there to give Uzi a double kill there in that little team fight, and maybe a big objective coming out here, possibly the Baron, or maybe just some pushing coming through for Royal. But it is very back and forth in this affair.
There was a deceptively amazing flash from Lucky there. What you would have missed there, Page Time, is he flashed in front of the Vault Breaker to stop Vi from escaping over to this red buff cove. She went straight in, just like Gragas' body slam, stops on the first target. They pick up 2 exit kills. Very smart play from Lucky.
And it could turn him into a Baron here as well, which would be absolutely fantastic. He's Royal going, looking to maybe play Janitor, but I think he's a little too late. The Baron already done here. Cool. Little off to the side as well. Uzi ambushed up, going to chase him down. Does not quite have his Blade of the Ruin King back, but he's able to Venom Cusk in instead. Going to fight this Cool here. Who body slam plus Explosive Cusk out of the way. Lucky chasing him though as well. Not going to quite be able to get in there. Cannot close the gap with... Actually, did have Cataclysm, interestingly enough. But I guess with the rest of his team not quite around enough to follow up, decided not to do so. I mean, this game is very back and forth. About 1,000 gold between the two here. I think we're going to be able to see that sick play again, Papa.
It was a very smart play for the first kill there. But the flash in front of the Vault Breaker, such a little subtle thing, but so smart, Pastry Time. It won them that fight. So Lucky... his MVP votes if they win this game definitely starting to shine through.
That was quite the body block there from Lucky. Not only flash in front, as you said, but even just continued to path in front of the line and be like, yeah, you're not going anywhere, buddy. And then all the kills to clean up there for all. Parlay into the Baron very nicely. And once again, we're kind of back on a bit of a seesaw here. I mean, OMG to their credit are actually ahead in gold still, despite just losing Baron. But it's
they still have the naked inhibitor down bottom, do Royal, so they have to be very smart because any sort of team fight loss or even a big skirmish loss, they will lose at least an inhibitor there.
And going. We talked about it before, the gold investment that he kind of has to get in for Blade of the Ruin King plus Trinity Force. Trinity Force kind of just good enough on its own now that if you want to go into more of a bruiser right after the item, you can. But Going's actually going full duelist mode here. He's got a Bilgewater Cutlass and a dagger. You have to think Blade of the Ruin King's on the way.
It just means that he's not going to be quite the same frontline tankiness that you might have got from, say, a Randuin's pickup or something here. So still able to be bursted by Whites, for example, or the pass-through damage from Uzi, but the damage potential once you pick up that Blade of Ruin King is just obscene. He's going to leap right onto Uzi and make sure that Uzi has to blow that cleanse and flash instantly in a team fight.
As an extension as well, going to be an even scarier duelist if he decides to keep split pushing. And given that Godlike is kind of running duty in the bottom lane, just making sure the creep wave stay as far away from the inhibitor as possible, just trying to push as hard as he can. I think going potentially is going to happily walk down there and just be like, hey Shen, how you doing? You probably don't want to fight me right now. So Roy with the Baron buff need to make something happen here. It looks like they're going for some sort of 3-lane split push at this point. They've got options here, but OMG really just getting control of the lanes where they can here, and not too afraid of this Royal Baron buff Royal. And to their credit, they're actually ahead in gold still.
It is a very small lead effectively, and there's not many big items missing out on here. I guess the last Whisper completion on Uzi will be an important thing, but if Shen can just keep this wave push down the bottom lane, and there's no threat towards the inhibitor, that's a win for Royal.
OMG moving up towards the top now as well, trying to keep the push that was happening away from that top tower. They're good going down the bottom. Actually recalling here, I think, wanting to join his team, realizing that Godlike had actually left. And that probably figures that team fight was about to break out. Shen going to rotate into mid now as well. Royal committing to some sort of 4-1 push here with Shen, which I think makes sense. Going, as you can see, pretty much following Shen around the map, and now has a Blade of the Ruined King finish, by the way. So Godlike's chances in the 1v1 were even less now that that item's been finished up. And OMG,
It's one of those things where he can't actually try and clear minions next to going because of the kill potential.
he's just going to have to, play it safe here. In fact, maybe they're even going to dive onto Gogo, and they do put the damage out there. The counter-strike they moved in. Time the waters will hit onto there as well. Will knock a couple people up there as the Cool moves in for the explosive cost just to try and make it happen. A flash force there from Uzi as Koma with the pink one spotted him off and almost managed to hook him up with the death sentence. So Royal, they're trying something here, but what's very common about a lot of Royal's comps, and this one is no exception, they've got great pick potential, but they don't really have the same siege potential.
No, they definitely don't, but the explosive cast being down is a big deal.
That's true. Gragas not able to instant clear waves now or really get them off the turret, so Royal going to looking for this one. Loveland actually going very deep in the back, but Talbe pops his ultimate there. Now the damage is going to come through. The one killer onto Loveland comes down as the box moves in there as well. Uzi very large with the Wild Growth moving in as well as Whites tries to fly Shannon with Stand United. Sun very, very low. They almost get himself picked off, but it's kind of bad news as the rest of OMG are peeling off there. And it was a very, very cute move in there with the Stand United for an untargetable Fizz to move in and get on top of the AD carry, but just enough summoners up there for Sun. Still going to keep fighting here though. The knockup does come. He's lucky, moves in on to go going, and the damage is going to come in here. The counter strike going to make it hard, but a beautiful play there from Cool. Pops Twitch back using his ultimate, and then body slams in for the kill. That's going to deny pretty much any other push that was going to happen as Jax does die to Deadly Venom. A 4-for-3 trade in favor of Roll, but they cannot keep pushing with those health bars.
And a short cooldown of that explosive cast surprised Uzi there. Thought he would pick up a kill with nothing coming back to hurt him there, but lovely play there. But they do take down the objective, Royal, so they'll be quite content with that trade. It could have been much worse. There was the overdive coming out from Shen and Fizz earlier. It definitely wasn't the cleanest bit of play from Royal, but they do take out one of those global objectives.
I mean, they have struggled a little when they're ahead to really secure objectives, especially in games that have been closer. This game is very, very close still right now. I mean, a couple of members of Royal get their Baron buff knocked off, which I won't be too happy about. San's going to clean up red buff now, as Vayne is actually working towards the last whisper. I've got Quicksilver Sash PD plus the Blade of the Ruined King. Looks like Uzi got half of the QSS, the kind of the useless half, I suppose. He's got the Negatron Clock only, although he's going to be happy for a little bit of magic resist, especially up against Gragas. But last whisper has been completed now, so lots and lots of damage coming out from this Twitch.
One thing I'll say though, Base Time, is I do expect a Banshee Veil coming out from Uzi rather than the QSS, just because there's precious little for him to QSS that he can't cleanse. Whereas being able to negate that explosive cask or the Vi ultimate is much more important to him.
Death Sentence 2 would make a lot of sense, so we'll see if you're right there. I imagine you probably are, as White's going to get himself grab that final level pop to Sam, but Uzi over the top, spray and praise there, and Sam is a little too far out of position. There's actually the dunk, it's the Salt and Butter he moves to, but a beautiful job on ultimate, cuts everybody off there, and Gong's trying to get him off, chopping the waters, so peels off for Uzi, and Royal playing absolutely out of their mind to defend their AD carry. And it is one thing to be aggressive on Twitch, it is another for your team to back you up 100% of the way. 3 clean kills there for Royal as a result. Cool still trying to chase down this Twitch. And Royal, they probably want to stop chasing this Gragas if they can help it. They maybe want to go for some more objectives, but that was absolutely stellar play from Royal.
Yeah, the strength of that, oh my goodness, is Cool eventually turns around and has enough of this Lulu.
Oh, Tabe. You tried there, but unfortunately Gragas does a lot of damage at this point with Rabadon's plus Void stuff. Looks like they are going to be able to clean him up here, but that was a smart move there from Gragas just to get the kill. Again, buying some time here. Godlike actually pushing in the mid lane, but not going to get too much damage done to that turret, so nice few kills there for all. I think a 3-for-1 or 4-for-1 trade overall there.
The Cataclysm, though, Pastry Time. Lucky's Cataclysm there. I mean, combining that earlier body block into the Cataclysm that just completely ruined the positioning of OMG. Java mechanics were real well on display here.
And the insta-snipe from Whiteside with the fish to peel Jax off as well. Just absolutely incredible. And, Uzi could have maybe been accused of going a little too deep there around the side, trying to spray and pray almost on top of Vayne, but his team really backed him up when it mattered there. The Dragon goes down there for Royal as well. Pick up a couple of thousand gold in the lead, although in this game, especially at this point, as we approach the 31-minute mark, gold's not really an issue anymore. It's more of, can teams actually fight and outplay each other, and how are they going to break the sieges once they do get some kills? Because Royal still hurting for these objectives a little, and Baron is back, Papa Smithy. That's got to be the absolute thing that both teams want to grab now.
And Shen, he still has his Stand United up. Did not even have to use it in the last fight here. And OMG picking up that inhibitor turret, I thought that might have started to seesaw this game back in their advantage, just because they could at any point try to take down that inhibitor, but they've just never had a shot. Godlike's been pushing out this lane consistently, and now pushing a lane to the polar opposite of Baron is super risky play from Going.
Yeah, and Going, he can definitely fight this Shen, but he doesn't have he has a way to cancel Stand United as well, thankfully. In fact, he's going to maybe look for the 1v1 here. Godlike, yeah, pretty extended. Actually waiting for San, I think, to rotate down. Cool's actually around here as well. Godlike's like, there's a lot of people here. I should throw down a ward, so it does so. But Going actually waits quite a long time. That doesn't even engage onto that Shen. But again, has to be careful. In fact, Stand United's getting popped here. White's going to clear out that wave. Royal are on Baron right now. And Going is trapped all the way in the bottom lane here. And he's a big part of their cleanup crew here. Royal's Baron damage pretty immense at this point as well. White's going to run defense there with Chum the Waters. And that's going to be a very, very uncontested Baron there for Royal. That's huge news for them.
Now they have their pick ultimate down here, so they have to do something. They have to be smart here, Royal. Otherwise, they will lose an inhibitor here. They have to remember they have no inhibitor turret up. No one is backing here. Very, very risky for them to not try and answer this Jax.
You can see the pings there from OMG being like, hey, we should cancel some of these backs. Gogo's doing work down the bottom, moving towards this inhibitor turret. White's actually moving down to maybe try and fight this Jax here. In fact, it's going to be a 1v1 situation at this point. Going a little afraid, can't quite see everybody up, and White's going to try and make the 1v1 happen here. Royal just showing themselves on the top, trying to be some presence here. Looks like someone else has rotated down as well. It's Lulu, actually, as Tabi moves in. But Going able to Blade of the Ruin King himself out of that one, and White's maybe going to chase. He does have his ultimate at the ready very shortly, if not right now. Just picked it up. In fact, Urgent Strike going to come through, and that's a ridiculous amount of damage on Jax. Goodbye, my friend.
That's not all pastry time. In the mid lane here, Twitch getting the kill on Cool with that snipe here. Royal, it could be the 3-0 turnaround pastry time. It could be Royal being Season 3 representatives in the first seed, skipping that group stage, which again, just something no one would have predicted.
The regional champions for China here as well. I mean, Royal going to move into this inhibitor turret now. Going to really threaten this mid inhibitor. Absolutely find it, tank it up at this point. That's done right now with Jackson and Gragas down. I mean, Gragas is such a big part of their wave clear as well for OMG. That inhibitor gets melted there as the damage is in. And Royal, they're not done actually. They want to keep going, maybe try and win this game. Uzi, they're going to ambush himself up. Oh, great flash there onto Sanders. A beautiful knock up there, and so much damage moves in, as that's going to be an insta-kill there onto Chrome. The one Nexus turret goes down. Royal, they may have actually done it. His son going to get jumped on top of him as well. Oh my god, Loveland gets obliterated by Chum the Waters. And White's one more time. Never mind, they've done it. Royal, the Season 3 regional champions for China. Absolutely stellar play there, and OMG, I can't believe they just got swept in the finals. They have one game on that record, Papa Smithy, and that's the game they got from being in the upper bracket.
Look at that emotion from Royal. They're also genuinely moved here. Remember, just a few games ago, they were 1-0 down against Invictus Gaming. It looked like they might not even be making it to Worlds, but ever since that loss in the first game of that series, 5 straight victories against their strong rivals Invictus Gaming, a 3-0 sweep of OMG. 3-1 if you include the fact that they came down from the losers bracket. Amazing play, and Royal, they're ready to assault this World Championships pastry time. They may not be the favorites. It is surprising to see them as the top seed from China, but it's well deserved.
It is. I mean, Royal looked a little shaky halfway through this morning. Looked a little dejected after they lost to OMG. As you can see, players just mauling each other here. So happy to be the regional champions here for China. I mean, really at this point can probably claim title of best team in China, and of course we'll see what they get up to at Worlds. They get through to the quarterfinals after a long road there. When it mattered, Royal, despite having a bit of a shaky start, never stopped winning. Ever since they had to start winning, they went undefeated. And they are your champions here for China, here for Season 3 regional finals in China. What a long, epic weekend of League of Legends. And OMG, the favorites here, Papa Smithy from China. They're going to have to play in the group stage.
They are, and the teams they're facing in the group stage, page down, I'll have to pull up the bracket here. But it's going to be a spicy group. We're going to have OMG in the same group as the Lemon Dogs, of course, the winners of the EU LCS in terms of the league stage. Of course, they finished second overall. SKTT1, TSM, and Gaming Gear EU. So a dangerous group. No guarantees that OMG gets through that group stage.
No, not at all. And OMG, a strong-looking team here. Do make it off to Worlds, but not the result they would have wanted here. Would have felt so confident from the upper bracket coming into a matchup, one game up against Royal, but Royal, the victors here, the champions here for China, and they will go through straight to the quarterfinals for the Season 3 Championship for Worlds. An amazing, amazing qualifier, and two well-deserved teams from China taking it through. The OMG and Royal will be the Chinese representatives for Season 3. And I guess with that, Papa, we are done for a very long weekend of League of Legends. Thanks to everyone who's stuck with us through a very awesome broadcast. I know we've had some issues here and there on the technical side, most of which we unfortunately weren't able to do enough about. But we tried to bring you the best content possible. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. It's been amazing to bring you English coverage of the Chinese League of Legends games, Papa. Really can't tell everyone out there just how much it means to us to be able to bring you these games as live as we can get.
Absolutely. And when it comes to next season, who knows what it brings, but nice to finally do a live broadcast to complement the VODs we've been doing. And of course, that's not the end of the Chinese scene for 2013. We'll be back in some form to see just who is crowned the LPL Summer Finals.
Yep, LPL Summer Playoffs will be after Worlds, of course, but these guys can enjoy a bit of relaxation, but then plenty of training and preparation before Worlds, and of course they go on to play there. And you guys, you like them at Worlds, you'll see them again playing in the LPL Summer, because both these teams made it through as well. So we'll sign off for today. We'll leave you with some of the video here for the closing ceremony, and you can just watch the glory as Royal claim their Season 3 championship here as regional finals for China. My name is Pastry Time. I've been joined by Papa Smithy. We are Papa Time, guys, and it's been an absolutely incredible bringing you coverage of the regional finals here for China for the League of Legends Season 3 World Championships. We'll catch up soon. See you later.
Something stirring me down and out.